I love this shit. What you about to hear? Straight craziness, high level, nuclear MC, and I'm not paid for this, cause I'm made from this. And hip hop culture, none of my albums are miscellaneous, and I'm spontaneous. My radius goes out, the crowd falls out, knowledge reigns supreme, I pour out till my jaw's out, yep, I bring them claws out, knock them 26 city tours out. I am the truth, you can believe or doubt. But for those that believe, and it sees like these with sacred keys and higher degrees, we knocking them all out. Believe in yourself, stop deceiving yourself. You're listening to that garbage all day, depleting your health. And I ain't talking about the youngin' on the radio today. I'm talking about them old folks that programmed what they said. They hated and debated hip-hop way back in the day. Now they want to destroy it. They ain't love it anyway. So they put it on the radio, blast it on your TV, telling you this the way to go. Right here, buy a CD. And even when you get the CD, it's always a letdown, because you don't know about them MCs that truly get down. Get your mind right. You don't have to deal with hindsight if you operate in foresight. Get your mind right. You don't have to deal with hindsight if you operate in foresight. Get your mind right. You don't have to deal with hindsight if you operate in foresight. Get your mind right. You don't have to deal with hindsight. Now you growing up. You want that cash, you want that victory cup. You want that cash, you wanna live it up. Now you in the street, you wanna compete, but you now must eat. You independent and you feel the heat, but you will not give up. Your phone ring and you pick it up, and it's your boy talk about let's stick it up. It's the economy. He explained as he talked about robbery. It's explained now what's inside of me. Am I a robber? Am I a shotter? Am I a robber? Am I a robber? Am I a shotter? Am I a robber? I'ma hang the phone up. Cause you know what? I see the future. It might look good now, but jail ain't what I'm used to. Your soul says give, not take, without giving. If that's the real you, then that's how you should start living. But we frontin', still hunting for something. But all this frontin', hunting, throat cutting is leading to nothing. Stop frontin'. Reach on the shelf and dust your soul off. You put it there getting your goal off. Get your mind right. You don't have to deal with hindsight if you operate in foresight. Get your mind right. You don't have to deal with hindsight if you operate in foresight. Get your mind right. You don't have to deal with hindsight if you operate in foresight. Get your mind right. You don't have to deal with hindsight. Watch this. You have an ability that you was born with. It's your innate ability. This is your born gift. But at 5 years of age, you go to school. They take away your cool and give you back fool. When you get your degree, your receipt, you'll hear me speak. I'm about to take it up. But before I do that, listen to this cut. Get your mind right.
Yeah, welcome to the Chuckle of Hip Hop. I am Minister Son One. Get your mind right. And the teacher, KRS-ONE.
You don't have to deal with hindsight.
Oh.
If you operate in foresight. And that is it. I remember that show too with the Avalon. That was crazy. I did that place a couple of times. And big up to Freddie Fox. That track you're hearing was produced by Freddie Fox. And we kind of put that song together some years ago. I used to do it live. But it's funny you play that because that's exactly what we talking about today. How appropriate. Get your mind right.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Woo! We got a fun reading today. We're picking up from where we last left off. And as we always begin, for those that are just tuning in, or this may be your first time, I doubt that seriously, but for the sake of protocol, There's always one or two. Let me just jump off and say that the Temple of Hip Hop, welcome, first of all, to the Temple of Hip Hop. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. And our mission here is to preserve hip hop. But the uniqueness to our ministry, archive, school, and society, is that we are hip hop. Hip hop is not over there somewhere external of us. We are the culture itself. We are hip hop itself. So therefore, if we are going to preserve hip hop, preserve our culture, what we're talking about is preserving ourselves, preserving the hip hopper, preserving each other. This is what leads us to culture. This is what leads us to culture, and this is what it is. So for those that just joined in, just realize what this is. It's a philosophical mystery school. It's not really religion and it's not really science, but it's actually a little bit of both. It's called philosophy. And actually philosophy is the mother of them both. So realize what you're partaking in. This is a hip hop preservation society, and we believe that to preserve ourselves is to preserve hip hop. So we go through these lessons. Those that have the gospel of hip hop, this is our study book. This is what we deal with. This is what I can be judge me by. You can judge Son One by it, and we will be judging you by it as well. This is exactly what our this explains in writing what we're supposed to be doing. So when you're in an organization like this, if you don't have some written documentation, things can become disorganized. So we stay, our foundation is the gospel of hip hop. We take our cue and our character and our conduct as an organization from the gospel of hip hop. If you don't have this book, make sure you get one. It's going to be hard to study with us or read with us if you don't have a copy of the book. Borrow it from a friend or something, or purchase one. Amazon books, anywhere books are sold, as well. So
even the libraries
have the gospel of hip hop, no doubt. And maybe even your local bookstore. Support the mom and pop. Big up to Barnes and Noble and all of them. But there's some really good local bookstores that are hanging on by the thread. By a thread, and it'd be wise to walk in there and ask them to order it for you, so everybody participates in the prosperity. Son One, before we start. Oh, and by the way, you're looking at Son One. I am accompanied by Minister Son One, and of course G. Simone, who is here as well, who's sort of my producer over here. But G. Simone, the acronologist. Shout out to Minister Zinaru. Big up to Pascal as well. Lifted, I give you a shout out as well. And I hope, Ambitious, you are recovering from last week.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, I know you're recovering, but I'm hoping that you are more recovering this week as well. What about that was last week? In that sense, so shout out to Ambitious and her whole family. In that sense. So, Son One, if you have any opening remarks before we start this lesson.
I do this week. I'm not sure if you want me to go through this now or wait till later, talking about the Lionsgate.
Well, we was talking about that. No, I think you should get into that because it's a slightly different read from what we're doing, but the time in which we're in, I think you need to bring awareness to the apprentice on the call about the Lionsgate and the actual astronomical time that we're in. Now, go ahead and do that. Okay,
word. Well, first I want to say happy birthday. I know it's tomorrow, but happy birthday to K Prime.
Oh yeah.
That's about to go down tomorrow, I believe. So hit him with a happy birthday, y'all, if y'all get a chance. And also, that video itself is so wonderful to see Minister G. Simone rocking out with you the whole time. That is the support that all husbands need,
Yeah.
straight up and down, or all families need.
No doubt.
Everything, all part of that. K Prime DJing, her on the side, really into it and not just being there. That's always a beautiful thing. But yes, there is a special thing occurring today, whether you know about it or not. It's called the Lionsgate portal. And it's funny because it's aligning with our call this year in particular. And essentially, what it is that the sun in Leo aligns with what is known by our ancient ancestors as our spiritual sun, the star Sirius. And now it's important to know that back in the day, they considered Sirius our spiritual sun, of which we would receive what they call downloads and different streams of consciousness are supposedly coming from that star system.
Hold on 1 second, Minister. Let me say this as well. Just add to that, that for those that are just getting this, do some further information on Sirius B. Do some serious information on the Dogon people of Africa. And also realize that the sun in the sky, the sun that we see in the sky, is not the only sun heating the earth. Wow. That ancient Africans knew back in the days that there were several stars that were heating the earth and giving energy to the earth. We're only taught about this one thing that we can see, but further out from the sun is this Sirius B. And so I just want to add that for those that are hearing this for the first time, it's a little deeper than what we are dealing with here, but we're in a certain time. So you have to explain. We have to give this explanation because we're in the time. It actually, like you said, it coincides with actually today's call. We follow up on that.
Yes, indeed. It is important to note that in ancient times, the terms planet, sun, and stars are all interchangeable. I point this out because, as you can see by observing the heavens with your own physical two naked eyes, the stars and planets look the same. Also, to keep in mind that the sun, we are taught, is a star. The Lionsgate portal opens every year around July 28th through August 12th. August 8th specifically is considered the official activation of this portal. So otherwise it's building up from around July 28th, and it's at full force today.
Whoa. Take advantage of this. Take advantage of this. This is why we're beginning our lesson with this in particular. And this is what it means to be conscious, to be awake and aware of the universe, of nature, of God, and its effects on you. Today
right.
is the day that the porthole has opened.
Right.
What will you do with this time?
That's exactly right. Now, Sirius is essentially, what's happening is Sirius is rising over our sky. It's now visible. You can see it at night. It is believed that when this happens with the sun and Sirius, when the sun and Sirius move closest to the earth and aligns with Orion's belt, that higher consciousness is transmitted through this portal to us from Sirius. Keep in mind, like TEACHA had mentioned, that the ancient Dogon is known for the theory that we actually come from the constellation of Sirius, which is also known as the dog stars, and said to be a representative of Isis in the heavens. Now, also keep in mind, it hit me as I was writing this to see that the Dogon, that An in ancient times is another word for sun. And the fact that they still can call it the dog star, but there are these people on this earth called the Dogon, who also had more knowledge about Sirius than scientists just recently discovered. So there's something that people know about this Dogon, or they've carried on their names for these things from ancient times, which should let you know that there is something with it. This is also where the dog days of summer come from, because again, Sirius is contributing to heating up the planet during this time as it gets closer, which is really dealing with around July 4th is when that really starts happening most. But then you also have today, the new moon is happening, or the new moon and the sun in Leo is happening today. And then of course the 2 8s of numerology. These are all things to do research and to check into, and to understand the I just wrote that as a surface thing, because when you do your own research, you're going to find that there are certain terminologies that they use, talking about things like the spirit body and this, that, and the third. I just stuck with what we could prove. Once they start getting into all that other stuff, you have to take that for however it resonates with yourself. But what's happening physically is a very real thing, and this is a chance of renewal, of manifestation, of getting energized and starting again around these times, or these times specifically are other times that ancient civilizations used to call this the beginning of the new year, because they knew that this was occurring. But again, it's like, if you don't know about it, it might not, or I doubt that it necessarily happens for you, because you don't know. If you have a word for it, and then you know, and you can really comprehend it, then you might actually see something going on in your life that coincides with it. It's like, I wouldn't personally, I wouldn't pay attention to retrograde too much, because everybody starts blaming everything on retrograde, and then crazy things start happening in their life, but they're in a strict belief that this retrograde is happening and that things are meant to go wrong. So it's like, that's why I say with certain things, you want to take it in, or take what's best, and the rest you might just want to stick with this bad boy right here.
You know, you said something interesting. I just want to double back on about, if you don't know, this day goes right past you, which is important. The research that you're bringing forward is so important to our call today. You know how I enjoy teaching in real time. Yes. So here we are in real time. Over our heads right now is Sirius B, the dog star. Right now, over our heads right now, a higher consciousness that everyone knows about. This is fact. This is not conjecture. This is not theory, opinion. This is a physical event that is going on in the universe right now, which most of what goes on in the universe affects us right here. So what are you attuned to? What are you looking at? Where is your aura, your frequency tuned to? Is it tuned to the TV? Is it tuned to the internet? Is it tuned to, everything other than your goal in life? Is it tuned to what these people want you to think of yourself and want you to see of yourself? What is your soul really tuned to? And that's what really brings this up right now, because so many people, I would say there's so many people know about this, but so many more don't. And it's like, of course, if you're an astronomer, you know. If you are a serious philosopher or mystic or someone like that, you know. If you study anything that has to do with the Kemetic sciences at all, ancient Egypt, Mayan, all of it in that sense, all people who watch time, then you know. But that's what 1% of the world's people, maybe 2% of the world's people are really trying to realize that real higher consciousness, not a bearded man in the sky, but a real event that's going on in the universe, and draw power from it. Draw power from it. I tell you right now, I'm going to write rhymes right now. I can't front right now. I'm gonna go and write my joint up right now, and I'm giving away a secret, because here we are talking, and it's like, you know, I write rhymes all the time. We all do, but we know at the Temple of Hip Hop that there are certain days where you should really sit down and write your rhymes. And this is one of those days. This is one of those days where anything dealing with mental activity or higher consciousness, needing to raise your consciousness, needing to tap into a deeper experience, today is the day. And if you stuck on bitches and hoes watching that stupid shit on TV, this is what you miss. And you know, we're taking it lightly, but look at what's really being missed. Like, you could go right now. I don't want you to do this. Maybe you can. But if you have a radio near you, or if you want to go to Sirius XM, or, you know, any radio station right now, you could just turn it on right now at this very moment, or go to a TV, turn on BET right now at this very moment. What they are showing is not just the degradation of our culture. They are distracting us from knowledge like this.
Right.
Today is the day an astronomical event is going down. And if you turn the TV on right now, even CNN, I don't think they're going to report this at all. But even if you turn on where we are located at, what are we being shown as? And what are our children being shown? Astronomical event jumping off, and we watching bitches and hoes on TV, gangsters and thieves and these people on TV, and a real astronomical event is going down, and you know nothing about it. Welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop.
Yes, indeed.
It's our job right here to gather knowledge and disseminate it to our people for the relief of human suffering. And so, thank you for that, Son One. Thank you for that. Yep.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what you said. It's funny because I actually put a post about that, or kind of earlier this morning. It very much is a distracting society, and the only time that you would get something like this, I would say, on the news is if they just needed to buy up time.
Right.
And say, well, hey, you might not know.
Right.
And it'll just go by. But no, this days like these are days that no, or you might want to pray all day, or make sure that you keep your mind in a certain direction all day, or keep your vibration all day. And or there are whole populations are just not, and it's so messed up because, like you said, the mystics and all that, they're having celebrations today.
Oh, you can believe the Freemasons. The Freemasons are sitting around watching bitches right now. Please.
Hey.
We can say whatever we want about these societies, this, that, and the other, but when they shut their door and go inside, this is what they're talking about.
Right.
And you know, and so look, we can go on for this is its own lesson in of itself. This is its own lesson in and of itself. But we do have a reading.
Yes, indeed.
So because I could stay here for a minute, because it speaks to so many things about distraction. It speaks to so many things about where your soul is, where you are, and then it also speaks to like what we're all on this call now as scholars. We're training ourselves to be hip hop scholars. And what we're doing, what this bit of information points to the fact of what scholarship really means. It's not about what you know or how smart you are, but how useful is your information up to date for your community. And you got to be able to draw that, at a moment's notice. It's not going to always come from one person. It's going to come from all of us if our eyes are open and if we're ready to receive knowledge. So in our instance, thank God, Son One, you've been studying this for a minute, really since before the solstice. But we went through this in Easter. We went through, discussing the as it is above, so it is below, and aligning our temple. What we've always done that is align our temple with astronomical events, which is what all temples do. Actually, we're not doing anything new or strange. But you could see why a temple would align itself with astronomical events, because we're dealing with a different vibration. We're dealing with another vibration. I would even say a deeper vibration. It's not better than anybody. It's not, more elaborate, because this downsides to this too. There's burdens that have to be held here as well. This is a lifestyle. And so those that live the life receive the blessing from the life. But we also hold the burden of the life too. So that's why when times like these come around, we rejoice. We rejoice. I'm writing rhymes. I'm telling you right now what I'm doing with my energy. That higher energy come down, I'm going right to my...
That's right.
And get that down. But like you said, you may want to fast all day today. You may want to pray all day today. You may want to call a loved one. You may want to apologize. You may want to forgive. You may want to start a new business today that you're going to go tomorrow, Monday, or wherever you listen to this. But you could go tomorrow and start your business. Today is a day of new beginnings and higher consciousness. And Sirius B is passing over us right now. Don't miss the opportunity.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you, teacher. That's all I got for right now.
Man, that's a lot right now. And so I'm grateful to be able to speak under the light of Sirius B right now on this particular day. And imagine on this particular day, not yesterday, not tomorrow, today, August 8th, okay, today. You got to look, these are not coincidences. We don't deal with that here. This is providence.
With the new moon, added on to it.
With the new moon, and you holding me up right now because the new moon is the feminine side. Women listening to me right now, you getting a double dose. You getting a double dose. Us men, we stuck with Sirius B. Okay, that's what we at. Okay, but the moon governs women, womanhood, woman, the water of the earth, all of that. It's a new moon tonight as well. So not only does Sirius go over us, which is, I guess, in some schools, the sun is masculine, the moon is feminine. And if you go with that, you could say, okay, we're getting a masculine energy, consciousness, logic, reason, intelligence coming over you right now. Then tonight, we get that soul force, new moon coming up. And look at the word new moon. You got to start something today. Don't let this go by. Don't let this go by and can't say nobody didn't tell you. So here it is. So Son One, there it is. I'm cutting this off. I'm cutting it off.
No doubt.
The women part of this is crazy. Okay, it's just absolutely crazy, and crazy for everyone, men included. If you have a daughter, wife, and even the water within your own body, even the water within your own body is being affected tonight.
Word.
So we are tuned into now the gospel of hip hop, as you see, and what we're gonna do is we're starting at page 128. And what we're talking about here are words. words and language. And when this part of the gospel of hip hop was written, there was a huge argument. It's not, you don't hear about it much anymore, but there was a huge argument going on. You know what? I got to get a pen. Hold on. I sat down here and I have no pen. All right. You know what, guys? Hold on one second. Son One, just take over for me for 1 minute. Let me go run and get a pen. I sat here and I have no writing equipment with me. Just okay. Take over for me. I'll be right back.
Yes, indeed. Well, actually, do I want to do that? Yeah, why not? I'll start read. I was going to read something at the end of the lesson, depending on how fast TEACHA comes back. But I'll begin it right now. And don't necessarily turn your page. You could just hear this. But I am on page 480, paragraph 73 in the TEACHA overstanding. As long as you are pursuing your purpose, you shall be in harmony with the truth of your nature, which is the universe's purpose for itself. You shall be protected and promoted by the universe itself, because the universe has its own agenda for the actualization of your life's purpose. When you truly come to this realization, you will begin to move throughout life in a certain exactness. Everything will happen in harmony with your purpose. People, things, and even events will all be in harmony with your daily movements. At this stage in your spiritual development, you are becoming the teacher. Okay, and the teacher's back.
Yeah. This little freestyle. You are becoming the teacher. No doubt.
Word. Well, I wanted to read, or there's more. I'll get to it later. Again, that's from the teacher's overstanding. But it fits with everything that's happening. And for you to get, or like teacher said, a deeper understanding of yourself and the universe and your purpose, and the fact that the universe is on purpose and has its purpose for you.
So let us begin. What, where, why, or when will all be explained like instructions to a game. Hold up. So, as I said before, I got my pens now. I can write. We're starting on page 128, and I'm starting at paragraph 59. We're reading the Refinitions, and as explained last week, the Refinitions are redefined definitions. That, remember that as scholars, you got to know this distinction. That hip hop has definitions to it that are common. They're all scattered, and everyone is have different codifications for what hip hop is. Some say hip hop is 5 elements: breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJ, and beatboxing. The original from Zulu Nation was breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJ, and knowledge and overstanding. Others have come forward and said that there should be more elements to hip hop than just breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, and beatboxing. There should be health, should be included, skateboarding should be included, all of this other stuff as well. We at the Temple of Hip Hop, we operate under 9 elements: breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. And this is because this is what we know hip hop to be. This incorporates all of what hip hop is or has been to us over the last 40 years, or should I say 50 years, coming up on 2023. Over the last 50 years, this is what hip hop has been in its totality. Breaking, MCing, graffiti art, and DJing are only the artistic aspects of hip hop, the self-expression aspects of hip hop. But when you're looking to actually live the culture of hip hop, you begin to see the fashion, the language, the body of knowledge, we have a history, all of this type of stuff, and certain trade skills and entrepreneurial skills that are unique to us, unique to our trade. So we teach a 9-element course on hip hop, which includes pretty much everyone else as well. At least in our scholarship, we include everyone's scholarship. We synthesize the useful parts of everyone's scholarship into our own scholarship. And this is and I will just say that this is the way I think scholarship should be. You should not be competing as scholars. You should be trying to figure out how to synthesize each other's ideas. So this is what the Temple of Hip Hop has achieved within the Refinitions. We have synthesized all of the ideas and approaches and codifications of hip hop into this right here. So last week we read the 9 Refinitions, breaking MC, etc. And now we're going into an argument that was happening back in the days with hip hop and its language. And that's what we want to talk about today, is the defense of our language. We have a raunchy language according to standard English and mainstream American as well. These are different languages. Like, in other words, we always say as a slang, we speak English. But if you go to England, they'll tell you quickly, no, you don't. You speak American. You're just talking your slang. But as scholars, we have to now really realize what we are saying when we're saying it. If you go to Britain, where English language originates, they're going to say you're speaking American. If you're from Australia, they're going to say you're speaking Australian. England is where English comes from, and the English people are the ones that are speaking English. We are speaking American, and there are different ways to spell words in this language. There are ways to say these words. There are different rules to these words than in the English language as well. So as we talk language, we got to realize that the argument that's going down is that hip hop's language is too explicit, obscene, disrespectful. Some would even say misogynistic. Some would even say racist, straight up. But that hip hop's language is all of this. And we've been criticized over the years for our uses of words like bitch, nigga, motherfuckers, and it goes on and on. Even words like fly and dope and chill. We're taking the English language and manipulating it according to the intelligence of our culture. So this forms an argument. It's like the people who speak regular English, even those who create English, are saying, oh, no, you can't create your own language out of our language. You have to speak the way we tell you to speak. And there lies the struggle, because you are not my master, straight up and down. So I'm going to take your whack-ass language and modify it according to my intelligence. And this is also how language grows, how language develops, especially the English language. Especially English language grows like this. All of English language is a slang language. All of it, okay? So the argument that we're speaking slang when we speak English is stupidity. And anybody who tells you that, as scholars, you should bring them to the lesson we about to have right now. Because all of English is a slang language. In fact, just to give you a little history on this, England itself was a colony of France. Okay, let's start there, okay? England itself was a colony of France, and it was actually for about 300 years, about 350 years, okay? England was a colony of France. France was treating the English people literally as slaves. The English were slaves to the French, okay? The French were the colonists, and the English were the captives in that sense. So the English could not even speak English in their own land. In England, the official language was French. So imagine if you want to rise to the higher levels of English society, you have to study and speak French. Your native language in your native land was considered low, and we don't speak that. French was the language of the government, and Latin was the language of the church. So in England, these were the two dominant languages, French and Latin. And Latin wasn't even really spoken, it was actually read. So the English language was actually, I would say, a criminal language, a street language. The government wasn't speaking it, and neither was the church. Only poor, low, ignorant people, according to them, not ignorant people, but this is how they were being treated. You're low, you're ignorant, you don't know nothing. Look at how you speak. Look at how you did it. It was a French king, King Henry V, in 1415, who actually said, England is now the official language of England is going to be English. And he only did it to get favor with the English people, but it was a smart move because a French king now said that you can speak English. Okay? So I say this to say that, again, the whole English language was at one time something you didn't want to speak if you wanted to rise to society. And I mention this also to show you the dynamics between power and language. Language is dictated to, or the definitions of language is dictated to by whoever has power. And who has power? The one with the gun, the one willing to kill, the one raping, robbing, stealing, the imperialist, the capitalist, the colonist. That's the one who's saying what you could say, what you can't say, and what the definitions of what you say are. Now, if you want to escape that form of that mental colonization, you have to speak slang, or what is called slang. In other words, you have to know the language you have and then apply your intelligence to it. What most people are doing is the language is applying itself and its ideas to their intelligence. So again, they can only see according to how they speak. Now, you on the other level, as scholars of hip hop can have it the other way. Words don't have to affect your intelligence only. Your intelligence can affect these words. And that's the difference. This is the click right here. Okay, this is the click that opens the door for you to get out of that mental prison. Your intelligence is with you. It is yours. It is your part of your being. What's happening is through words are making you see a reality that doesn't exist. So if you could change the words you speak, you'll change the reality you have. Case in point. In the English language, the word dope means either stupid or drugs. He's smoking dope. She's shooting dope. That dope, he don't know nothing. Hip hop took it and was like, nah, I know that's what your word is telling my brain that's what it is. But my brain gonna now tell this word what it is. For me, dope means great, exceptional, out of this world. Matter of fact, I am dope. That's it, okay? Look at the difference. Look at the difference. Look at how words are treated. Just because somebody tells you a word means something don't mean that it does. It only means that because that's the power. So if you want to succumb to that power, then you say, okay, yeah, this is a computer. Sure, these are glasses. This is a shirt. This is a wall with some sort of stone on it. That's conforming to their definitions. And we conform every day to get through life and get through society. But the intelligent hip hopper, the attuned hip hopper, also has another place to go. You have another dimension that you can go to, a mental dimension. You can free yourself from what is being presented as reality, and you can begin manipulating it through your intelligence on that reality. So it starts with your words. It starts with your words. I said that we were starting here at 128, paragraph 59, but let me just preface this with another reading. This is this book here is called Real Niggas, a look at institutional racism through an analysis of the N-words. This is one of my 7 books. I wrote 7 books. I'm in the process of putting, editing them together, a variety of books. But this is one of them. It's called Real Niggas. And this is the old.
Oh, that looked like a real book.
Yeah, well, it's my private book. It's not. No, wait a minute. It is, but there's only one of them. It is a real book, but it's only one of them.
Okay, no.
These when I write, you made me these books as well.
Yeah, but not looking like that. That looks realer than the ones I made.
No. This is. I had this made in France, actually. Come to think of it, at a printing company. I was in France. This is many years ago. I had this made maybe about maybe 10, 11 years ago. I was working on this, and you can see actually the title. I changed the S to a Z. Niggas. This is the old one when I had the S on it as well. But we're not talking about this book,
okay,
right?
I'll just check out.
I'll send you one. Whatever. But this is part of another book. But I want to preface what we're reading actually with this. This is the power of pronunciation. The power of pronunciation. Okay. Look at this. The Oxford English Dictionary, 2nd edition, 20-volume set, published in 1991. This is the reason I'm pointing this out, because, like, as you guys know, I don't have one with me here, but as you guys know, we usually, when we're talking about language or etymology of words or so on, we go to the Oxford English first, because that's the standard in English language, and then we jump over to the American Heritage Dictionary, and then we may go over to Webster, Merriam-Webster too, by the way, in that sense, and then we branch out to other dictionaries. So I start always with Oxford English Dictionary, 2nd edition, 20-volume set, published in 1999. It reads, quote, "The pronunciation is the actual living form or forms of a word." Now, this is the Oxford English Dictionary. This is explaining the English language, how it is created, what its point is. This is the kernel. This is the center of why we speak. I'm gonna put it that way. The pronunciation is the actual living form or forms of a word. That is the word itself. The word itself is what you're hearing from me is the word itself. This writing is called letters. These are not words. Although we do say in common English, I'm reading the words. Do you see the words on the page? This word. But in strict scholastic language, in strict linguistic language, a word only comes out of your mouth. The pronunciation is the actual living form or forms of a word, that is, the word itself, of which the current spelling is only a symbolization, generally, indeed, only the traditionally preserved symbolization of an earlier form, sometimes imperfect to begin with, still often, but it says oftener, corrupted in its passage to our time. This living form is the latest fact in the form history of the word, the starting point of all investigations into its previous history, the only fact in its form history to which the lexicographer can personally witness. Now stop. What is a word? A word is the sounds coming out of your mouth. That's a word. What then happens is that this living form that comes out of your mouth is is symbolized in these characters: A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way to Z. And then the other sounds, whether it be consonant sounds or vowel sounds, vowels A, E, I, O, U, or ah, something like that. Or, with the vowel sounds, then the consonants, of course, B and D and, these other C, D, these other consonants. These are the symbols of the sounds coming out of your mouth. These are not words in the strict sense. These are the symbols of words. And this, so realize what's being said here. I'm gonna say it one more time. The sound coming out of your mouth is the word. Letters are the characters that record your sounds coming out of your mouth. We get to remember what you said because "wa" is now a character. You is a character. Said, and you've memorized these in grade school education. So what we're really doing, what we're really saying is, but you understand, you understand that as, the living form of words, that is the word itself, of which the current spelling is only a symbolization. What I'm really saying in reality is, that's what I'm really saying. But you understand, you understand that as criminal-minded. You've been blinded, looking for a style like mine. You can't find it. That's what's really going on. But you understand these grunts and these growls, and this, you understand the culture, which includes your language. You understand that. So I get to convey my points of view to you just by speaking. But now, if we want to remember if you want to remember what that is, okay, now you start making symbols to match what the sound is coming out of your mouth. And that's what letters are. That's what this now becomes, okay? All of these are trying to document some sound that could be made with your mouth. And that's what it is. So the word coming out of your mouth is the real word. And the Oxford English Dictionary further explains this living form. Remember, in linguistics, words are alive. Yeah, some people think that's a metaphysical term, but it's scientific because the actual word is a sound vibration coming from a living being. So this vibration is alive too. The vibration of your voice is alive. And you send it places. You send it out. And guess what? It comes back to its source. You send it out, it comes back to its source. It's like a magnetic thing. You throw it out, and as far as you can throw it, but it's always going to come back to the source. So what you say, what you're saying is what you're living. If you want to change your life, change your speech. If you want to change what's coming to you, speak what you want to come to you. Don't speak what you don't have, because anything you speak is what's coming to you. Man, I ain't got no money, man. What you really want to say is, I need somebody. I want somebody. But if you constantly say, I don't have no money, then that word comes back and confirms you don't. That's it. So if you constantly say what you don't have, you're confirming to yourself the life that you're living. I live a life of don't have. What you want to do is confirm a life of have. And not a life of greed, but a life of requirement. This is what I require. For my happiness, for my peace, for my joy and my comfort, I require this. That's a safe language. Because even some spiritual people, they say, I want. Even some of them can go far as to say, I deserve. And these are real feelings. You know, sometimes you think you deserve something because you struggled long enough. Sometimes you say, I worked for something, so I'm supposed to get there. But if you walk in a spiritual path, you only get what you require, not anything more. And you get it when you require it. Now, on another path, I will admit, I will put a disclaimer on this because I walked through this path myself when I was young. There is something to be said about abundance and about a prosperity consciousness and not living in lack and, you know, knowing that you are a child of the universe and whatever you want, you can decree to you. That is a lesson on the path of life. That is a lesson. I'm speaking past that lesson. That once you've enjoyed that and you've learned how to call upon the universe for what you need, what you notice, if you really are doing it, if you really are getting what you need, you'll notice that the universe doesn't really follow you. You may decree, this is what I need, but the universe is going to give you what you need when you need it. And when you get to this other level of consciousness where you say, I understand that I will only receive what I require, not what I want, not what I receive what I require. Now you're at peace because you don't need nothing. Want is gone. Contentment and peace sets in. You now know anything I need, anything I require, the universe is going to hook me up anyway. So why ask? You've gotten to the point now in your consciousness that you are the universe. It's no longer me and the universe. That's a lower level or a younger level where you're not the universe. You haven't realized that you are the universe that you're asking. But you haven't gotten there yet. Where you are is there's you and there's the universe. There's you and there's God. There's you and there's the ancestors. So you're asking. And the ancestors answer you. The universe answers you. God answers you. But if you keep doing this, if you gain a relationship, real relationship with God, real relationship with your ancestors, you'll realize that they are only going to give you what's to your best interest and when you need it. And you're going to realize this as you go. As you get a little away from your own ego and your own self in that sense, your own personality, you get away from that and you start submitting to the way of God. Start submitting to the guiding our direction, G-O-D, the guidance of our direction, the good. When you really start getting into that, then you realize that abundance is not necessary. It's actually a fear of not having. You know, it's great to be rich. It really is. To have money. But to be afraid to be poor is even worse. That's worse than like for instance, people say, you know, I'm rich because of my talent or my this or my that. Or is it that you're rich because you're afraid of being poor? We all want to be rich, but nobody wants to be poor. And what is poor? Meaning you don't have. You don't have. Now, I'm explaining this in this way. I'm being elaborate here because this lesson, it all leads to this. And of course, somebody needs to hear this lesson right now. But the other side to it is that you got to learn how to use your mouth, use your speech. Learn how to speak to the universe. Learn how to speak to God. And that's what we're talking about here today. Not putting your hand in God's plate and pulling your food out, pulling what you think you're supposed to be eating like a kid, but allowing God to make a plate for you and serve you. You know, the Christian model is to serve God, and at a level, that's what it's about. That's what it's about when you first enter the door. But after you've served God for about 20 years, guess what? God starts serving you. And all of a sudden, you start seeing your plate getting made without even asking. Your plate's made. You at the table, your cup runneth over without you even asking. And that comes from realizing that your word is a living being in and of itself. As I'm speaking to you right now, I'm speaking life. This is the sound of my life. There's no other sound to my life. This is the sound of my life. What's the sound of your life? I don't have, I ain't got, I hate this one. I hate that one. I'm afraid of this one. I'm afraid of that one. I doubt this one. I doubt that one. And even yourself, I'm afraid of myself. I doubt myself. I'm fearful of, you know what? What is your language? What are you saying about, when you say your name, what do you feel? What do you see even? When you say your own name, do you see greatness or do you see somebody less than? This is what has to get cleaned up and swept off. This is the spiritual work right here, the inward work. So remember that when you speak, you are confirming your life with every word that you're saying. And to go deeper, it's not that if you say, I hate broccoli, that somehow the universe is gonna, respond to you hating broccoli. That's not the point. The point is the intention behind what you're saying is what is going to manifest. Surface words don't manifest. The feeling behind these words is what is really going to manifest. So when I say, what words are you saying? And not that surface talk, not what you say to your friends on the phone. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when your emotions are high and you either angry or sad or happy, joyous, or even confused. This is also emotional. All of this kind of thing. When your emotions are when you're speaking from emotion, that's what comes true. And if you speak from depression, it comes true. You speak from confidence, it comes true. You speak from love, it comes true. You speak from hate, it comes true. These are living beings that you are producing on a second's notice. So let me finish this with the Oxford English. This living form, that's what a word is, a living form. This living form is the latest fact in the form history of the word, meaning that the way we say words are the latest fact in the word. Okay, that's the latest fact in the word itself. In other words, go back to dope. So the original dope was drugs or stupidity. Now we have that, but it's not the latest fact. The latest fact in the form history of this sound is how we using it. The latest form of dope, when you go on the TV, go in public, go in the universities, go anywhere, dope dope still means drugs for some. And maybe for some it may mean stupid. Some may still, let me not discard my old folk out here, because in the 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, to be a dope meant that you were stupid. And so some people are probably still walking around with dope on their mind, but they're in the minority. Others are walking around with dope as a drug, but they too are in the minority. The majority of people in urban areas understand the word dope to be something good, okay? And you want to be associated with dope. You want that. Same thing with fresh. Fresh has a different meaning in English language than it does in our language, in our dialect, I should say. It doesn't, fresh is something different. Fly means something different in the English language than what it means in our language. But the point is that our language, okay, is the latest fact in the English language. It's the latest fact is how the public is saying these words. Sure, we understand what these words meant, but the latest fact is how we're all saying them today. And that's what a lexicographer writes down. The latest fact regarding a word. Now, here's how our culture and our being, how we are being disrespected, because words change all the time, and they change according to the public understanding of sound. The public's understanding. So the lexicographer is not really the one who who is making up language. The lexicographer is the one who is documenting the development of language. So the lexicographer is not telling you how to speak. The dictionary doesn't tell you how to speak. The dictionary is documenting what is being said. Big difference. Because some people, they hear us say, yo, man, I'm going to go down with my niggas and we going to chill and smoke this blunt. They say, what the hell did you just say? Yo, I said, me and my niggas going to go down and smoke this blunt and we going to be chilling in about 5 seconds. And then you say, what are you talking about? What? No, a real lexicographer would say, me and my niggas. What do you mean by that? That's all we do. No judgment of what you said. Understanding of what you said is the job of the lexicographer, the job of the dictionary, the job of the college professor, the job of the one studying English or teaching language. Their job is not to tell you how to speak. Their job is to record what you're saying. Because you and how you're saying this word is the latest fact in the form history of the word. And to deny you that power is to try to colonize your mind. Because the rules of language don't even go like that. If we all know what dope means, why dope ain't in the dictionary? Because we're being denied a certain power deliberately. And like Sun One was pointing out earlier, if you don't know that Sirius B is above your head right now and will not be for the rest of the year, okay? But the Sirius B is above your head today. If you don't know that, you can't even respond to it. You can't even respond. It's out of your league. It's out of your dimension. You don't even see it. You don't even speak the language. Same thing when somebody comes to you, you say, yo, me and my niggas gonna go down here. We gonna go drink this. Somebody's supposed to be coming and saying, what do you mean when you say that? We're gonna put that in our American Heritage Dictionary because you're an American. So we're gonna put that in the American Heritage Dictionary. You're British, so we're gonna put this in the British Dictionary. You're French. You're Spanish. You're African. Whatever. Okay, you come up with a new way to say something. Why ain't it in a dictionary? And this is the first point. As scholars, we have to take a look at this. Don't let nobody tell you how to speak. Period. Don't let nobody tell you how to speak. Now, of course, we promote articulate language here at the Temple of Hip Hop. We ain't about no mumble. Okay, let's be clear. I ain't dissing nobody. I'm not doing it. But we're not here about no mumble. Okay, we ain't mumbling here. Mouth open, jaws working, mind going. Okay, we talk here. Okay, and clearly. So be clear. Okay, this is about articulate speech. Be clear. This is about knowing what words are and how. This is about knowing grammar, how to write. how to speak, how to read. That's what this is about. But when you get into that for real, you realize that you're getting duped. You realize that the rights that you have to interpret your world your way is being taken away from you because we don't have this articulation. We can't say to the person saying, oh, hip hop is misogynistic against women. We don't have the knowledge to say, first of all, misogyny is a medical term, not a cultural term. And a misogynist is somebody who hates women. It's a psychological disease. No average person is a misogynist. Nobody in hip hop is a misogynist. Nobody. And hip hop cannot be misogynist because cultures cannot be misogynist. Women are part of the culture. Okay, so you can't be misogynist. You can't hate women. That's what misogyny is. Hatred for women. You can't hate women. The culture can't hate women whose culture is ruled by women. Okay, hip hop is ruled by women on all levels: positive, negative, intelligent, stupid, in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, you name it. Women are in control of this thing here called hip hop. Okay, that means hip hop cannot be misogynist. But if you let some person with a PhD next to their name come up to you and say hip hop is misogynistic, you need to change your lyrics. And you don't know that misogyny has nothing to do with us. There's nothing to do with us. You're putting something on us. You're trying to make us into your version so you can incriminate us even further. And as scholars, we have to be able to articulate past this, defend the culture. Defend the culture. So now let's turn to page 128. I'm reading at paragraph 59. This was an old school argument, and we gave our rebuttal to this argument back in the 90s when people were trying to say that the way we speak is wrong and all of this type of stuff. From the very beginning of modern hip hop around 1973, hip hop has struggled for self-determination. Within the development of our identity, character, and intellectual uniqueness, the creation of our own dialect was inevitable. For many years, hip hop has communicated with itself by developing a language that relies upon the transformation of already existing languages. The need for an outcast wing of society to create its own system of discourse has always been felt. Slave days are a primary example. Since words are only one of the weapons for early Africans in America, a sophisticated system of code had to be developed that inverted meaning, cloaked irony, and allowed for a free and open exchange of ideas when such free speech was not permissible or, like today, unacceptable. For years, hip-hop's dialect has been scorned as ignorant ghetto, scorned as incorrect, ignorant ghetto talk. And for us to believe this from the same orthodoxy that ignores our intelligence and condescends to our lifestyle is suicidal for us. To further understand the language of hip-hop's culture, one must avoid condemnation of the unfamiliar. This is the beginning here. The belief that hip-hop has no intellectual agency, the belief that hip-hoppers have no intellectual agency in our self-expression and that the world must be interpreted for us is unfounded. Similarly, the incredibly prejudiced notion that hip-hoppers are incapable of critical and abstract thinking, that we excel only at primal expressions like song, dance, and sport, like these too are of lesser importance, still exists in society, albeit in a much subtler form. Unfortunately, it seems to be natural for society to look down upon offshoots of its language. People who speak High German look down on those who speak low. Cajun pronunciations of words like Pocratane, carondelet, and banquet continue to make French people cringe. And that's why I'm stopping, because the way I'm saying it, it's not how these words are said. And if a French person hears me say, well, you guys in France, you're probably cringing right now. Like, Pancratane, what is that? Okay, that's not how you say that word. These dialects are clearly breaking the rules, but the idea that a language isn't self-governing, that it needs rules to keep it in check, is absurd. Language comes first, then comes grammar. To say that a language is wrong is ethnocentric. Language is constantly evolving, and dictionaries of all sorts constantly change to reflect this evolution. New words are admitted into a variety of dictionaries every year, although it is interesting to note that common hip-hop phraseology is continually denied entry into many well-known dictionaries. Language is the gateway to culture. Matter of fact, hold on. This is one of our first highlights here. This is going to be one of the first highlights. We're highlighting 68. We're on page 129, and we're highlighting paragraph 68. Okay, but wait now. We're only highlighting the first sentence. We're highlighting the first sentence because you will have to say this a few times to a few people that are ignorant of this type of knowledge. You're going to have to say this. Language is the gateway to culture, and the first step in killing a culture is killing its language. Ponder that for a minute. Again, language is the gateway to culture, and the first step in killing a culture is killing its language. The British paid Irish teachers not to teach Irish Gaelic. Koreans were forced to learn Japanese. Africans, Native Americans were forced English, etc. Language serves the internal communication of a group in a social sense. It serves the internal communication of the dominant group. It allows a group to share pleasures, pains, dreams, and creative intelligence. It records the history of the group. It is the utterance of the culture, languages. The problem today is not really rap lyrics. It is actually cultural illiteracy on the part of those who criticize hip-hop's artistic expressions and language. That is the problem. Let's highlight that as well. Not the whole paragraph, just this last part down here, which says, the problem today, this is in paragraph 59, the problem today is not really rap lyrics.
Excuse me, paragraph 69.
69, sorry about that. Right. We're not highlighting the whole of 69. We're just doing the last sentence of paragraph 69. The problem today is not really rap lyrics. It is actually cultural illiteracy on the part of those who criticize hip-hop's artistic expressions and language. That is the problem. This is what the problem is, cultural illiteracy. That's the key word. Don't let nobody tell you how to speak out your own mouth. Tell them they're culturally illiterate. As rapper Ludacris pointed out in the Source magazine when he asked Oprah Winfrey, when asked about Oprah Winfrey's opinions of him and his lyrical content, because Oprah was dissing him, Jay-Z, everybody. She was just out there dissing. And when asked about Oprah Winfrey's opinions about him, this is what Ludacris said, quote, "They need to understand that every time people in hip hop say bitch, we're not degrading women. They need to understand that in this language hip hop built, some words don't always mean something negative. What I'm saying is that in hip hop, there is a language. I feel people should understand where we're coming from. We live it, and the people that criticize it the people that criticize it so much have never lived it and are just hearing us talk," end quote. That was from the Source magazine, August 2006 edition, 202, edition number 202. Now, end quote. Now, either you respect Ludacris as an intelligent representative of hip hop's culture, explaining his language and content clearly for all to learn, or your own prejudice. And you see how God works here? When this was written, Oprah Winfrey didn't have OWN. She didn't have a network called OWN. And I'm emphasizing OWN in this book because I'm saying your own. I want you to put emphasis on your own, is it your own prejudices? And this is interesting because now, the Oprah Winfrey Network is out. And this was not written for that. But somehow in spiritual language, in cultural language, look at what's happening here. And again, no coincidences, providence. Now, either you respect Ludacris as an intelligent representative of hip hop's culture, explaining his language and content clearly for all to learn, or your own prejudice only sees Ludacris as a foul-mouthed rapper with nothing worthwhile to say or add to society. The problem seems to be that those who criticize hip-hop's artistic expressions are simply ignorant of hip-hop. They don't know how to interpret what they are seeing and hearing of hip-hop in mass media. Some do, but most don't. And the most that don't know of hip-hop's true meaning, purpose, intent, and history are those who criticize us and our language today. But there is also an academic silence or passiveness on our hip-hop's part when it comes to educating Americans as to what is going on with us in our cultural existence. Scholars are also being quiet about this too. This is why the movement to teach hip-hop in its own private schools is so important. Excuse me. In the 1980s, Reader's Digest book, in a 1980 Reader's Digest book entitled Word Power, The Entertaining Way to Enrich Your Language Skills, one of its contributors, Roderick McLeish, writes, quote, "Today, young white Americans are adopting wholesale the language of Black America. In the process, they are telling us that they identify and sympathize with the struggle of Black America to find its deserved place in our society. Meanwhile, some wonderfully articulate phrases are swirling into our language. We had no precise word for lively, direct communication until rapping appeared." He said, we had no word for lively, direct communication until rapping appeared. End quote. This is Reader's Digest from the 1980s. Okay, end quote. Some of what the public doesn't understand about language can be explained in elementary linguistics or sociology. But I don't hear too many scholars speaking publicly on this subject, the subject of language and its role in society. To criticize hip-hop on the basis of its word usage is again unscholarly on the criticizer's part. In the same Reader's Digest book, State Department linguist James Bostein explains, this is from the United States government State Department, okay? James Bostein explains, quote, "If you can be understood, if you project the social image that you want to, you are speaking correctly." End quote. Most scholars are aware that words affect little without definition. All words yield a definition or definitions. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Paragraph 74. Let me highlight James Bostein's quote, because that too is part of our defense. This too is part of our defense. Go ahead and get it from where it says State Department linguist, because you should remember his name as well. You're quoting him from a Reader's Digest book. So you don't have to say Reader's Digest and all that. If you want to, you can go ahead. Because again, as scholars, we are big on giving credit to those whose knowledge, who's teaching us. Usually the rules with knowledge is that once you've learned something, it's yours. That's the rules to knowledge. Once you've learned it, it's yours. You don't have to say who taught you or what this is all about in that sense. But because we are a cultural preservation society. But because we're a cultural preservation society, we are. It's important that we give. It's about lineage. So not only do we cite the knowledge, we also cite the lineage of the knowledge. So if you have a teacher that gave you a certain bit of knowledge, or in this case, we have the State Department linguist, James Bostain. You should remember his name, James Bostain. He was a State Department linguist, and we're quoting him from Reader's Digest. This is also raising your value. We spoke about this last week. Being able to articulate hip hop in this way raises your value, raises your self-worth, and now you're commanding whatever kinds of monies you want to teach hip hop in your area. But you have to be able to articulate hip hop in this way. And that's what we're talking about today. Language, words, the importance of being clear in your speech, being articulate. And here James Bostain is saying, and this is the quote here, this is what we're highlighting. If you can be understood, if you project the social image that you want to, you are speaking correctly. End quote. And that's so important for you to know. Most scholars are aware that words affect little without definition. All words yield a definition or definitions, which in turn yield a graphic description between the user and the receiver. The challenge seems to be the want of our criticizers to understand what we are saying, to decipher our coded language. And so it is not the words in their minds that need to be changed. It is the pictures that certain words create in their minds that need to be updated. They are attempting to understand the meaning of our coded words with their traditional linguistic images. This is the challenge. When we say fly, they think something else. When we say dope, they think something else. When we say fresh, they think something else. When we say boy, they think something else. Like when we say thug, they think something else. Nigga, they think something else. And all because you are refusing to acknowledge my intelligence as equal or superior to yours. That's the only reason. Because if you thought my intelligence was equal to yours, you would expand your awareness to understand me. You wouldn't immediately say, oh, you ain't got nothing to say to me. that would prove you to be ignorant and immature. A real mature person, if somebody comes to you, you respect their intelligence. So they come to you and say, the sky is not really blue, it's yellow. And you're like, whoa, come on, man. The sky is blue. I know it's blue right there. But if you respect their intelligence, then you're willing to say, well, let me try to understand what you're saying. What do you mean the sky? Oh, then they go into, well, your eye is saying that it's blue. But if you took your eye and I, and then yo, and now it's yellow. And now you can see it because you was explaining now what it is. But first, for that explanation to come to you, you have to respect the person in front of you first. And what's happening is that hip hop is not being respected. And it's not being respected because of how it's being portrayed in mass media. And everybody else don't have the time to come to a temple lecture and learn what hip hop is. They just turn on BET and they see bitches, hoes, gangsters, drug dealers, people going nowhere, okay? So they say that's what hip hop is, and I don't want to hear that opinion. You don't have nothing really to say to me. And it's a two-way street because not only are you saying you don't have nothing to say to me because of how I look to you, that's a prejudgment. You are prejudiced. You can't judge a book by its cover, all this type of stuff. That's what's going on here, okay? Not only are you just judging me because of how I look and sound in mass media, but then you're not even taking the time to say, is that really you? Everyone's just assuming that is you. That's you, Chris. You hip hop too, right? So you with these bitches, right? Right. No one's saying, is that you? Is that really you? No one's saying that. They're just assuming this what it is. So we get this opinion, and so nobody wants to hear our opinion about nothing. So now you get this attitude of you're not speaking correct English. Speak the way we speak. I'm a human being with a mind. Why do I have to speak like you? I don't know you, don't even care about you. Okay? Why do I have to speak about you? Right. Why do I have to speak about you? But why do I have to speak like you? Why? For what reason? There's only one reason. You are trying to put your power over me. You're trying to control me. You want me to conform to you. And this is the basis of slavery. This is the basis of enslavement. This is the basis of killing a culture. This is the way where Native Americans can't even go to a school. They go to the English school and they say, if you speak your language, we're going to cut off your benefits. We're going to jail your parents. We're going to beat you. So 2-3 generations of kids not speaking their own language, Native American culture destroyed, lost, because you cannot articulate the culture no more. The culture is in the language. It's in the language. So you kill the language, you kill the culture. Or you kill part of the culture. You kill the outward part of the culture. You kill the language. And what are we saying? We say, kill the language. Look at what's being said here. They kill the language. That means they're altering your breath. Breathe like we breathe. So in my language, I was breathing a certain way. In my language, I'm breathing a certain way to get my words out. Don't speak your language, speak my language. So now I'm breathing your way. Now I see only what you see. I don't see what my culture sees because I'm not breathing this way. Breath is consciousness. You stop breathing for 4 minutes, you out of here. Nothing. You hold your breath for 4 minutes. Nothing stops. Everything continues. The first thing that goes is your consciousness. You go unconscious. Stop breathing for 4 minutes, you unconscious. Anything past 4 minutes, brain damage. Anything past 5 minutes, you dead. So now look at the breath. Look at the power of the ruah. Ruah. Those in Israel listening to me right now, Jews in Israel, Jews in anywhere really. The ruah, you know about the ruah in Hebrew, it's the spirit. And the spirit, the ruah, is the breath. The breath. This is what the spirit is equated to in Hebrew knowledge, in Jewish knowledge, in the Kabbalah and all of that. The ruah, R-U-A-H, ruah, is the breath, which is considered the spirit. So if somebody is manipulating your breath through language, they are manipulating your spirit. Period. Now, here we are speaking English, which means our spirit is being manipulated to English culture. We are only seeing reality through English culture. Therefore, for us to have any semblance of existence separate from English culture, we have to speak slang. And it's a miracle that our minds even speak slang. Like, after 400 years of English terrorism, okay, we still are saying, nah, G, I think all these people lying. I still got my soul. I think they all lying. I think they all thieves. I think they all got something, this is what it is. You still looking for freedom. You still know there's another you. You still know that this fake society is not really what you are about. After all this, after the beatings, the rapes, the robberies, the took your language, your God, your culture, and all that, took everything. Somehow, we still on this temple call talking about freedom and using the English language to articulate it back to them. That is divine. That's divinity right there. Not a man in the sky, not light shining from a head. This right here. We are proving the immortality of the human soul. You could take my language, my culture, you could lighten my skin, you could do something with my hair, you could beat me, you could take my resources, you could take me from my original land and put me in another land. The soul is indestructible. This is what we're proving right here, right now, on this call and throughout life itself. The soul is indestructible. That part of God in you is indestructible. And that's why we're talking. That's why we're talking here. And the importance of language. What is a word? A word is not letters in a book. A word is the living vibration and exiting your mouth. That's a word. And so when people control your words, They control your soul. They control what you can perceive. That's why you have to control your words. You have to be able to control. This is one of the first lessons you learn upon any spiritual path. Learn how to speak. And not just speak articulately or with grammar, but learn the importance of the living sound coming out of your mouth. Cherish it. Respect it. Don't just do stupid stuff. Like, discipline yourself to say only the words that's going to lead to your success.
Well, let me come in real quick.
Yes.
On the breath. Technically, according to health experts, we're not even supposed to be breathing through our mouth. That it's a nose, and to me, this kind of relates to viruses. Just real quick, nose breathing. Your nose is designed to help you breathe safely, efficiently, and properly. It can do this due to its ability to filter out foreign particles. Nasal hair filters out dust, allergens, and pollen, which helps prevent them from entering your lungs. Humidify inhaled air. Your nose warms and moisturizes the air that you breathe in. This brings the air you inhale to your body temperature, making it easier for your lungs to use. Produce nitric oxide. During nasal breathing, your nose releases nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator that
facilitator.
Vasodilator, VASODILATOR, which means it helps to widen blood vessels. This can help improve oxygen circulation in your body. And it goes on. It's something to really be researched, but I know it's like this for us in our culture. We would teach this to our culture. It does a whole lot more. Prevents bad breath, tooth decay, from not breathing in stuff through your mouth. But this is something that needs to be taught to children at a young age, so it becomes habit and ends up being their natural way of breathing. And just keep it real, they didn't teach us that.
Right. Right. Because they're trying to make us them. They're trying to, right. Why would you teach us that?
All right. Well, that's all I had to say. All right, I knew it. And actually, shout out to Minister Pascal, because he was doing studies on that. And he came to me boggled out. He said, we're not even breathing right.
Word. No, when you were saying it just now, and don't front, everybody on the call, don't front. My mouth was shut.
Yes.
My mouth was shut. I'm breathing through my nose. He was like, yo, we ain't supposed to be breathing through our mouth. I'm like,
right. Straight up.
Get that through your nose quick. But what you're saying is so real. I mean, right, there are ways to breathe. I mean, and not to go off, this lesson we're dealing with today has so many branches with it. Because there's a yoga practice. Those that know, you might want to, those engaging our comments may want to put up the practice on yoga, the correct name of it. I don't remember the name of it. I don't want to just say any name. But there's a specific yoga that deals with your breathing. There's a specific meditations that are breathing meditations. The Gospel of Hip Hop also talks about breathing in the health section. We'll get to obviously in a few weeks. But what you're saying there also is so profound about the breath. It's a different branch, but it applies to what we're talking about, breathing through your nose. Why were we never taught that? Like something as simple as that. Like you could cut down on health. You can, I'm not cut down on health. You can cut down on sickness. You said there's a what is it? That the nose is producing
Nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide. It's producing nitric oxide by breathing in like this. I mean, how many of us really breathe through our noses consciously, like that? And most of the time we're breathing through our mouths, and even as I talk to you, I'm thinking if I can, is it possible for me to come up with a habit to rehabit myself to say, I'm only going to like while I'm speaking, when I stop, I go da 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 da, but I'm coming through the mouth. So if I go da 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 da, so am I even supposed to be speaking like this and taking in my breath of air through the mouth as I'm speaking? It's convenient to breathe and speak at the same time, but can I repurpose myself? Can I rehabit myself to say, so son one, we're going to go to the next chapter here at 76. And what we're going to do, even as I try to do it now, and I said, we're going to go. So I only take in that in air and spit out what it is. I'm quite sure our ancestors might have spoke like this, especially with these click languages, talking with the clicks. Your mouth doing something different, okay, than what we doing today. And there's a lot of nose breath. You have to.
It would be important. We should really ask Dougie. How he's doing what he's doing, and because I send the one, his breathing is going through his nose in order that his mouth just keeps going.
Dougie got this routine where he's playing the harmonica out his mouth, and somehow you still hear it boom back out his throat, and he's like, I saw it from my own eyes. I couldn't believe it. But you're right. There's got to be some kind of nose kind of thing. We should mark that just as notes amongst ourselves that beatbox might have something to do with this. You're right about that with Dougie, and rest in peace to Biz.
Pranayama is the name of the yoga breathing.
Pranayama.
Our brother Sincere Mason, I pulled it up too. There's another. It's you. I don't want to mispronounce it. UJJAYI Pranayama is the yoga technique, and Pascal actually just recommended a book by James Nestor called Breath.
Say it again one more time for history.
A book by James Nestor called Breath.
You know what's so interesting about that say it again,
Pranayama
yoga is that the word prana, that's the chi. This is that life force energy. The Indian from India use the word prana, whereas the Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Asian in that sense use the word chi. And they're the same thing. It's that life force within you. That acupuncture is based on this. The breathing, chakras are also based on this. You have 7 chakras, according to these traditions. You have 7 chakras and 108 nerve points in the body. And this is the map, pretty much, of the body. And it's really controlled by your level of breathing. Your level of breathing. Your breathing deals with your nervous system as well, which is what's connected to the prana, to the chi, to the nerve centers in the body. When you get nervous, your breathing changes. Your heart rate changes. When you're happy, your breathing changes. When you're crying, your breathing changes. And all of these changes affect the totality of you electrically, psychologically, spiritually, or should I say vibrationally. It affects you all in these ways. So just something else. This is a branch. This is another branch over here, but not to be over taken. And thanks for that lesson too on that nose. because we need that. This is the seat of intelligence, right here. This is it, right under the frontal lobe. And
Right.
we even get into what the nose cooling effect is doing to the frontal lobe, and all of that. This body is built so perfectly and so exact. You cannot deny the existence of God. You cannot.
Okay.
So let me move on. So, yeah. I'm on paragraph 76 now. And what I want to do is I want to highlight the last paragraph of the last sentence of 75. I want to highlight the last sentence of 75, which is, they are attempting to understand the meaning of our coded words with their traditional linguistic images. This is the challenge. And this is what you need to know as scholars to wage your argument. That those who criticize hip hop's language without trying to understand it first. You can have a criticism, but first show that you understand the difference between dope and dope, or fresh and fresh, or fly and fly. You know, at least say that you understand that we're speaking something different here. But those that are not even trying to understand are basically guilty of forcing their way on us. They're trying to make us conform to their reality, and that should be rejected. 76, paragraph 76. Words affect very little without definitions, and definitions affect very little unless one can graphically picture it in his mind or in her mind. Do you see what I'm saying? And notice how hip hop has used that language readily. We don't even know what we say. Unconsciously, we are so on point. You see what I'm saying? Right, because you have to comprehend this sound, you have to see what I'm saying. You don't have to hear. Hearing what I'm saying does not give you meaning. Seeing what I'm saying is what gives you the meaning. See what I'm saying? So when hip hoppers say bitch or nigga, whatever image comes to your mind is your business. But if my friend comes to me and says, "What up, my nigga?" and the graphic description of his greeting affects my psychology in positive and productive ways, how then is our hip hop language offensive or even degrading? This is our language. However, it is within our sincere respect and love for our elders that we should consider our language and the terms we use to describe the world. Let's highlight that right now. We're highlighting 77. In fact, let's highlight the whole 77. I'm gonna read it twice. This is important. This is the contrast right here. On one breath, we're saying, oh no, we're not conforming to you're trying to put something on us. No, we're not doing that, especially from foreign cultures. We're not doing that. Either you try to understand us as we are trying to understand you, or you get up out of here. So here now is 77. However, here's the contrast. It is within our sincere respect and love for our elders that we should consider our language and the terms we use to describe the world. At the end of the day, our most important responsibility culturally is to stay in communication with our parents and elders. Therefore, if the use of certain words creates certain graphic images and symbols in their minds, we must consider altering our language when communicating with them. They deserve our utmost respect and admiration. If we don't respect our elders, no one else will either. That is the truth. I'm going to say it again. Paragraph 77. However, it is within our sincere respect and love for our elders that we should consider our language and the terms we use to describe the world. At the end of the day, our most pressing responsibility culturally is to stay in communication with our parents and elders. Therefore, if the use of certain words creates, it should be create. Ooh, wait a minute. Let me just stop here for a minute. Therefore, if the use of certain words create certain graphic images, that word there, and you'll notice throughout this, we're going to outline the mistakes. I should have a different pen for errors within the gospel of hip hop, but this word creates should be create. Therefore, if the use of certain words create certain graphic images and symbols in their minds, we must consider altering our language when communicating with them, our elders. When you're talking to your grandmother, fix your mouth. Okay? When you're talking to your grandfather, fix your mouth. That's what I'm talking about right here. Okay? The way we talk to our wives and our children, fix your mouth. You know, or your husband and your children, fix your mouth. You know, they deserve our utmost respect and admiration. If we don't respect our elders or our family or our wives or our children or whatever, you know, no one else will either. However, today's argument against rap lyrics by others outside of our community imply that we are not allowed to define our world or the world for ourselves our way. Such arguments imply that we, hip-hop, are not allowed to give our own definitions and interpretations of the material world in which we live. As I listen to the criticisms against rap lyrics, I can't help but feel that the whole debate over rap lyrics stem from an emotional base and not from a logical base. Logically, to imply that we are disrespecting ourselves and our heritage as if we are not ourselves and our heritage stinks with the stench of prejudice and arrogance on the criticizer's part. Hip-hop is treated as if it just came out of nowhere. From the very beginnings of hip-hop in the late 1970s, we were always treated like aliens or outsiders who had to fend for themselves while being criticized along the way. The sad thing, though, is that outsiders are not studied or taken seriously at all, even if they are your children. Our parents not studying the ways of their children. Leaders of the civil rights movement criticizing hip hop and rap lyrics. Like you don't know what we saying. Without studying our culture and language, you cannot critique our culture and language. Again, without studying our culture and language, you cannot critique our culture and language. I'm sure the whole material world is offensive and threatening to those who remain ignorant of it. But that doesn't mean that one must remain ignorant. Those who don't know criticize because they don't know. Those who know don't need to criticize. They know. So for those who don't know, or for those who act like they don't know, allow me to say explicitly in bold and big letters, hip-hop itself is not a violent music genre that degrades women and promotes illegal activity. These events are the products and effects of corporate marketing in an entertainment arena. Let's go ahead and highlight 82. Let's highlight 82 because, again, these highlights are not only your places of defense, your articulation to defend your culture, but they're also for you and your conduct. And also, I mean, take a look at this and apply it to yourself. So for those who don't know, or for those who act like they don't know, allow me to say explicitly, this is for you now. Hip-hop itself is not a violent music genre that degrades women and promotes illegal activity. That's an affirmation. Take the word hip-hop off and put you. KRS-ONE himself is not a violent music genre that degrades, or a violent music person that degrades women and promotes illegal activity. No, I'm not. These events are the products and effects of corporate marketing in an entertainment arena. That's a strong paragraph as an affirmation and as an explanation. However, this is now 83. However, it is still interesting to note how other music genres get to enjoy a certain immunity from the fantasy of their poetry, no matter how graphic, while rappers are held accountable for the fantasy of their poetry. Everyone agrees and understands that other music genres are simply telling a story using metaphors and symbols when telling their graphic tales, even when those tales are true. But hip-hop doesn't seem to enjoy such an understanding. If a rhythm and blues R&B singer sings a song that implies adultery, betrayal, and deceit between husband and wife, as an example, the R&B singer is not questioned about the content of her lyrics. It is basically understood that the R&B singer is performing, and the lyrics to the song, as well as the performance of the song, may not be real. It's an act. It's entertainment. An R&B singer can sing about cheating on his wife, as an example, and then be seen at the supermarket with his wife and children, and no one will associate that R&B singer's lyrical content with the actual character of the man that sings that song. But anything a rapper says, she is expected to actually live. And this rule is even understood amongst hip-hoppers. This is what separates hip-hop from every other major music genre on earth, or in earth is what should be said. It's a bit unfair, but such an unfairness has its advantages. One of which is the ability to become anything you desire through the mastery of one or more of hip-hop's 9 elements. This is the key. Imagine, through the mastery of an artistic performance, you can attract the resources and support to become that which you rap about. That's amazing. This is amazing. If you sing an R&B song, you don't become what you sang about. And people don't hold you accountable to what you sang about. Let me even go further. You can sing a gospel song and still don't get no Jesus. You can sing gospel all day. People say, but you ain't Jesus. you ain't even the Christ. Church folk quick to judge. Y'all know, okay? You can sing reggae. You know, you ain't Jamaica. Okay, we're not holding you to that. Okay, any genre, jazz, blues, whatever it is, the entertainer gets up and leaves. The music, not hip hop, not hip hop. Everything we say and do is real and is expected to be real. That's the key piece. It's expected to be real. And so I want to go ahead and highlight this. Let me righteousness. You're going to highlight 87 and 88. 87 and 88. Let's get the whole thing. Let's get these 2 paragraphs. Because there's a jewel being dropped in 87 and it's backed up in 88. Here's the jewel of 87. One of which, they're talking about abilities, okay? We're talking about the advantages that hip hop has. Here's the advantage. Because everything we say, and like breakers, and I'm speaking hip hop. I know I'm speaking in rap terms because we're talking about words and language. But when I say hip hop, I mean hip hop, okay? Breakers, same way. Graffiti writers, same way. DJs, same way. Fashion designers, same way. You know, in hip hop, you can become anything you want. Imagine you step out of hip hop and you say, I'm an attorney. They say, well, get on the bar. I need to see your attorney's license. In hip hop, you could rap. I'm the rap attorney. And I am worthy. This is how we do it because my style is dirty. I'm the rap attorney. Okay? Guarantee you in 10 years, you'll get an honorary law degree based on your success in hip hop. Do you hear saying to you, oh, why do I go to an attorney? Philosopher. Here we go. Okay. I am a teacher and others are kings. My philosophy. Yeah, you. Now I'm teaching at all these universities. Been teaching these universities for 30 years. And I don't brag about it. But I didn't make it to high school. Always remember that. Always remember that. KRS-ONE never saw high school or college. I got left back twice in the 8th grade. Never made it. Just remember that as you see me teaching at the most prestigious universities in the world, around the world too. We don't just teach in America, we teach all over the world, okay? Don't nobody care about these stupid certificates, okay? Who are you? That's the question. Who are you? And what can you offer the other person on the other end of the line? That's gonna raise your self-worth. Hip hop is an environment that if you master it, anything you say you are, you're gonna wind up becoming that. You got to think about this. Let me read this. Let me read this piece real quick. This is the advantage that hip hop has by being treated uniquely in this way. 87. One of which is the ability to become anything you desire through the mastery of one or more of hip hop's 9 elements. Imagine, through the mastery of an artistic performance, okay, you can attract the resources and support to become that which you rap about. Different from every other music genre on earth, hip hop's magical elements, and that's why I say different from every other music genre, because you can still say hip hop is a music genre, you know, lowercase HIP dash space lowercase HOP. That's a music genre. Okay, so we say, different from every other music genre on earth, hip hop's magical elements actually actualize the character and intentions of the performance. This is why we are also burdened with the biased opinion that our lyrics have real effects on people and environments, while other styles of entertainment simply do not. And there is some truth to this, okay? Where they say, everybody else can say, bitch, ho, nigga, I shot the sheriff and all of that, okay? You're a bitch girl, and a rich girl, and yeah, we can say all that, okay? But the minute hip-hop is saying, it's a problem, because you the king, because you the god, because you the queen, because you divinity, and everyone else knows it except us. But you can learn it based on how people are reacting to you. Look how people are reacting to you. Everybody else can sing all types of craziness, but the minute we sing it, we're taken seriously. And then on top of that, in our own history, you see that we're taken seriously. Like you see, like somebody comes out and rhymes, says, look, I'm a millionaire. The person ain't got a dime to save themselves, okay? Got nothing. But they come in hip hop and say, I'm a millionaire. I got jewels. I got cars, houses, this and that. And then all of a sudden, people expect you to have it. So guess what? You get it. I got a Lincoln Continental and a sunroof Cadillac. So after school, I take a dip in the pool, which is really off the wall. I got a color TV so I can see the Knicks play basketball. Let me tell you about checkbook, credit cards, more money than a sucker could ever spend. By the way, that's Rappers Delight, Sugar Hill Gang. But when they said all that, Big Bank Hank was working at a pizza shop, managing Grandmaster Caz and the Cold Crush Brothers. They had nothing. Okay, none of that. They wasn't, all that Lincoln Continental, none of that. But after they said that, and Rappers Delight came out, guess who had a Lincoln Continental and a sunroof Cadillac? It happened for them, and this is the glory of your culture. This is the glory of it. Okay, this is the piece right here. This is what nobody else has. and why they stealing from us. They don't have this. You can't become anything you want in gospel, in jazz, in rock, in reggae, in classical. You can't become something in that. Only in hip hop. And that proves that hip hop's not a music genre. It's an actual culture. And a magical culture at that. Because just because you Chinese don't mean that you say I'm Chinese and because I'm Chinese, I can become anything I want. Because I'm African, I can become anything I want. Because I'm Australian. Nah. Only in hip hop can you say with nothing, okay? High school dropout, totally, I'm a philosopher. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. I'm a philosopher, and I'm going to prove it to you over a 33-year period. And then all of a sudden, the honorary degrees. All of a sudden, the money, the fame, the this, the that, the other. Why? Because I'm part of a magical culture called hip-hop.
Yes, indeed. I would even... it's funny because I keep going back and forth with that word magic. I'm not sure how much I like it, but it is describing that which is happening, which happens throughout hip hop. This is why the warnings of watch what you say, watch what you rap about, because in doing this, it may actually come to fruition. I wanted to point out when you were saying that it's different when you say it, and it really is. I notice for years and years, I never put bitch in my rhymes for like years, like almost 10, 15, 18 years, never put bitch in my rhyme. I just recently, I want to say I have it in 2 rhymes. And I swear every time I hear it, it's like a dagger. Freaking, or it's like venom, and it's like, nah, that bitch sounds way too serious coming out your mouth. And what gets me is like, no, who may hear this, be like, oh, he's talking about me. Like, he just called me a bitch. So to me, that is, or what you said is absolutely correct. And we should watch it, or be specific for the fact that we know that this is what hip hop's ability is. Be exact with it. Write your rhyme exactly to that which you do want to manifest, and in the best way, and all the above, and don't just haphazardly write stuff. I know I purposely do it in light of trying to get or make hip hop an actual city. The best way to do it is put this thing in rhyme, put it out in the universe, and let it permeate, and others hearing it, and then they're like, oh, word. Different things like that. But to me, to do that for your health, your love, your awareness, and wealth, put it all into this of that what you're doing, and all the elements, not just MCing. But yeah, I just wanted to say that real quick.
And well said, because with the Sirius B over us today, because not only does hip hop already have this ability, today this ability is cranked up.
Yes, indeed.
It's crazy. I can't even talk to you no more. I'm looking at the clock now. I'm getting off to do my rhymes. I'm getting ready to go write me some craziness right now. Okay, that's what I'm getting ready to go do with this Sirius B energy over us right now, and hip hop with the ability to say anything you say you are, you can become that in this culture. Oh man, really? You only need to tell me that once. And also, on the slide low. Wait a minute, put your face back up here so I can see it. Just as a side note, and we're not getting into this today, but we have to do our etymology on the word magic.
Yeah, no doubt.
On magic, because it also goes to it comes from the word magi,
Right.
Which has to do with them dudes again. Okay, they were astronomers, and it also goes into Magdalene, Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, no doubt.
The Magdalene,
Okay.
which Mary the Magi, which is some other. It goes deep into that. But you're right about the connotations of the word magical, and I just want to put an emphasis on that. That the common word magical has other connotations to it, and it does. It does have other connotations. But here at the Temple of Hip Hop, you know how we do words. So it is what it is. We should go into that. I have a nice piece on the Magdalene and the Magi and the etymology of the word magic. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah, no, listen, we got to do that quickly.
We got to get that off. But you brought it up to me. I thought about it. I said, wow, you know what? Right. You know, magic. There's a whole thing with that, you know. And then the Phoenicians are supposed to be the originators of magic.
Okay.
Supposed to be, because they were seafarers, they was up at the stars. These are supposed to be the first magi. But again, these are names you don't know. These were hip hoppers, real.
Right.
Real is who they were. All these little names. These people are giving their culture. They're taking our culture and putting their name on our culture in ancient times. They don't even match what these people do, look like, talked like, acted like, but they're putting their name on the culture. And I just wanted to point that out.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Shout out to everyone that studies Mary Magdalene and that whole thing, the Da Vinci Code and the cup and all of that. Okay, there's a whole piece with that.
Oh, I've been thinking about that too. She's the only one who actually met Jesus.
Oh, is that the truth? So we highlight 87 and 88. Highlight 87 and 88. That is a magical passage that you should seriously consider. 89 now, continuing our read into onto 89. However, to label hip hop violent or misogynistic is again one-sided and unscholarly, because the very criticism against hip hop should operate in two ways. On one hand, if hip hop is violent, graphic, gangster, on one hand, if hip hop's violent, graphic, gangster performances transform the performer into a violent, graphic hip hop gangster in the eyes of the public, then hip hop's enlightened, revolutionary, conscious performances should transform those same performers into enlightened, revolutionary, conscious hip hop leaders in the eyes of that same public. But this is not the case. We are acknowledged publicly for our negative influences, but our positive influences go unnoticed, unacknowledged, and unappreciated by our critics. That's why the core of the hip hop populace doesn't care what these outsiders have to say about a cultural movement they don't know and care little about. For the first time in a long time, a social movement, hip hop, has emerged that sidesteps the conventional methods and means of achieving social success, prestige, and mainstream access. And such a movement does it in its own unapologetic way. This is the real problem. This is the real threat. In the past, one had to attend college or military service or borrow money to start up a business or work up the corporate ladder until retirement if one was going to make it out of one's lot in life. It was through America's major social institutions that opportunity was found, and when those institutions the needs of the people fell upon hip-hop's artistic upsurge in the 80s, in the 1980s and 1990s. Hip-hop may have remained just a great music genre if the people participating in hip-hop's artistic elements didn't need it to also fulfill their cultural, spiritual, and financial needs. So, is hip-hop violent for real? Of course not. Is hip hop itself misogynistic toward women? I can't be. The last time I checked, the term misogyny meant the hatred of women by men. End quote. Hip hop is not misogynistic toward women. Hip hop does not hate women. I can't. How can I hate women? Hip hop is made up of women. It was women who taught us men how to be the men that we are. In fact, male hip hoppers may actually blindly love and wildly lust after hip hop's women a bit too much. Hate? No. Lust? Yeah. Respect? Always. Hip hoppers know that as men, the disrespecting of women is unnatural to our being. Hip hop is an urban behavior that has saved millions of urban people from the collapse of America's social institutions and the corruption prevalent throughout America's corporate communities. We hip hoppers are trying to survive and escape the collapse of America's institutions just like everyone else. As Dr. Cornel West has pointed out, quote, the basic aims of hip hop music are threefold. And he's talking about the music is threefold: to provide playful entertainment and serious art for the rituals of young people, to forge new ways of escaping social misery, and to explore novel responses for meaning and feeling in a market-driven world, end quote. When I hear people complain about rap music's lyrical content, I tend to ask them, so what rappers do you like? Most people can't go into it that far, because if you could compare and critique rappers with a knowledge of their history and style, nothing one rapper says would offend you. You would know how to critique the hip hop event happening before you. The problem is that mainstream America is ignorant of hip hop, because when it first emerged, mainstream America only sought to exploit hip hop, not understand it. To understand hip hop, you would have had to respect the people you are engaging, not use them as products. And the same rings true today, like how hip hop is being treated today. The last time I checked, the term violence meant deadly physical force. Violence, quote, behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something, end quote. Legally, violence is, quote, the unlawful exercise of physical force or intimidation by the exhibition of such force, end quote. In most social circles, violence has to do with physical force. So are rap lyrics violent? Can they be? Can a lyric that is said in an entertainment setting and or over an entertainment medium actually be violent? Lyrics are not physical, or are they? And this is the temple of hip hop piece, because what I read to you earlier is that lyrics are actually physical. Lyrics are physical. This is your life. And not that your life is physical, because the body's physical and the spirit is supposedly not. It goes on, lives beyond the body. But then where does physical stop and spirit begin? If the physical thing we looking at, right, this little shoulder I'm touching right here, this shoulder right here doesn't exist. I perceive it as existing because I live in a dimension of space and weight and distance and light and this kind of thing, okay? I live in that. But if you was to break this whole thing down to its final component parts, it's vibration. It's like intent and intelligence. So is intelligence physical? Because it's intelligence that's making the physical. So how the intelligence that's making physical not be physical? Is intelligence physical? Is the words coming out your mouth physical? Well, of course, I put the intent on it. I say words with intent become physical. Words by themselves are like hitting a like, you know, hitting yourself or hitting a book, just sound. But if you put some, this same can become, come on, come on. So I'm here on the lecture and I'm doing it right now. You never seen before. Oh, whoa, whoa. That's me putting that same slap, but somehow that you put thing on it and it becomes alive. So and we're talking here about the critique of rap, you know, your lyrics are violent. That's silly and stupid to say because lyrics can't be violent. Lyrics are not physical force. However, as temples, we do go deeper and we say, but wait, your lyric could be violent because the actual word is the sound coming out of your mouth. So if my words can harm you, I might be being violent. Like for instance, a lie could be a form of violence. A form of verbal violence is a lie because it can physically harm you. Ponder this in your own mind, but here we are now with more of the argument. This is a surface argument we're dealing with here. I always thought that art and poetry were exactly the arenas where ideas, images, controversial to mainstream society were expressed. You know, you do that in art and music. Art and poetry, in my mind, are exactly arenas to explore the otherwise inexpressible regions of human thought and activity. The term nigger, for example, should have its existence in art, education, and poetry, and not in politics, religion, or trade. If violence and obscenity are not explored in art and or education, violence and obscene behavior are simply American entertainment. Violence and or obscenity shouldn't be anywhere in the public arena. Lessen violence and obscenity in public life and enjoy more freedom to explore violence and obscenity in artistic art is where extreme ideas should be expressed. Turning to Bob Cole's House, 1911 to 1980, Mr. Colasello points out, while writing about being called before the U.S. Senate subcommittee on moving picture propaganda violations in 1941, films showed one fight every 100 feet of film, end quote. I'm giving an example of, again, how hip hop is being discriminated against. So you say our lyrics are violent, you know.
Your internet is getting choppy.
Am I still choppy?
Yes. Or it's getting better
that.
at the second, at this rate, at this exact moment, yes.
At this exact moment, what's the yes?
You're fine.
I'm fine. Okay, at this particular, so what, something must have went over? The satellite must have crossed something?
Well, as soon as you started doing the beat, it started getting crazy.
Oh, yeah.
To keep
You
it
already
real.
know what it is. You know what it is. Okay, so how am I now?
Better.
Okay, continue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we go. So what I was explaining here in paragraph 101 is Bob Colasello's book, Ronnie and Nancy, and he was explaining there about violence in lyrics. And I'm explaining the double standard with hip hop's violence in its lyrics. And here's Ronald Reagan, the president of the United States. When he was an actor back in the days in 1941, Harry Warner, who became Warner Brothers, one of the Warner Brothers, Harry Warner, they said he was called before a U.S. Senate subcommittee, okay, about the violence in his films. And one of his films was Ronald Reagan, and they pointed out Ronald Reagan was a star in one of these films. And he said that Ronald Reagan's films showed one fight every 1,000 feet of tape. That must be like every minute. Somebody getting punched in their face every minute, okay? This is what they was dealing with, okay? But it was cool when they were doing it, when John Wayne was rising on this American fantasy, this kind of thing. It was cool when they was doing it or when they benefited from it. But when hip-hop now jumps up and benefits from this and does it on our own, now it's a problem. And you got to recognize that. Paragraph 102. I bring this up not to pass the buck by saying, see, look at the president, he violent too, end quote. Not at all. I won't even bring up the Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the violent content in most of his early motion picture work, many times shooting police officers and destroying government property. Not at all. I'm not going to bring that up at all. I bring this point up to shed light on the true nature of the argument. It is not violent lyrical content that threatens America, nor is it over-sensualized images of sex acts and foreplay throughout mass media. None of this actually threatens America's social order or economic structure. In fact, in many ways, such images and acts actually strengthen America's social order and economic structure. The problem is not rap lyrics. The problem is that your child likes them and is influenced by them, and you have no control over such foreign influences. You believe that your child's participation in hip-hop lowers her self-worth. Because of your own fears, you want your child to conform to the same success you have conformed to. You want your child to play the game like you did. But like First Lady Nancy Reagan, it is like First Lady Nancy Reagan, it is authentically American to look up to the foul-mouthed, down-to-earth, real people who are most times having the best times of their lives. We all want to be like the rebel, the outsider, the outcast, the one not to mess with. Is this attitude not authentically American? The state of Texas makes it clear in its state motto, don't mess with Texas. The issue is that violence was cool when Al Pacino did it. Violence was cool when the Governor did it, when John Wayne did it, when the Bible depicts it, even when cartoons portray it. But if a rapper even speaks about violence within a poetic entertainment setting, we are called the cause for the corruption of America's youth and moral fortitude. In fact, we are accused of influencing America's youth negatively with our words and imagery, yet none of our critics will ask about the events and people that directly influenced us. But this too is a weak argument. A stronger argument points to our collective power as hip-hoppers based upon the criticisms laid before us. The character and self-expressions of any public figure are indeed roles that will be modeled by that public figure's audience, even if that public figure is the President of the United States. This is human nature. We grow and develop through adaptation and imitation. Every responsible MC or DJ recognizes this fact and his influence upon his influence upon his audience. Let's highlight 108. I want to read this one more time. And let's highlight 108. This is important. The character and self-expression of any public figure are indeed roles that will be modeled by that public figure's audience, even if that public figure is the President of the United States. This is human nature. We grow and develop through adaptation and imitation. Every responsible MC or DJ recognizes this fact and his influence upon his audience.
Donald Trump.
Barack Obama.
Right. Well, yes.
Bush.
Right. Well, I say Donald Trump specifically because you could, or we could clearly see how a whole group of people were influenced by anything that he would say and ran with it. Whether
I can't get Obama off the hook.
Yeah.
Because what he said right there applies to the whole African American community.
Sure did.
He said it, so he gets a pass.
No doubt.
But I understand. No, I get what you're saying about Trump, though. That look, we have the January 6th. Okay, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
There it is, right there, where you're gonna follow. We want to imitate and emulate this. It's human nature to grow like this,
right?
And actually, Trump is like the latest version, and show you ain't nobody really acting like Biden. Ain't nobody acting like Biden. Ain't nobody acting like Kamala. Okay, and nobody acting like none of these people. Okay, and respect to them, of course. I'm not trying to diss the president or the vice president. Not at all. I wish them success. But in a philosophical setting like this, no, and you're comparing presidents. Take a look at Trump and look at how people are trying to imitate him and be like him. And even up to now, the Republican Party, look at what they want to be this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they want to be him. You know, so it is what it is. But we can't let Obama off the hook either, or any other president.
No, but Obama also had another effect that even though he didn't really do anything for us, we looked at him or the population of Black people looked at him as Black excellence.
Right.
Everybody went on this Black excellence things, and the next thing you know, more Black CEOs, more Black businesses, and all this stuff. Everybody wanted to be the president,
right?
of being Black, being a Black president or a Black CEO. So there was that
a different effect, but the same,
right? And then, and then right after he left, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, we got bitches and hoes on TV now. this is what happened now. Now it's this. You know, look, always remember that people are fighting back. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you rise with intelligence and clear thinking and knowledge doesn't mean that the ignorant and the fearful and the doubtful ain't gonna try to come and say, "Oh no, we don't need this. We got to do something contrary." It's crazy. It's called the counterintelligence program. That's what it's called in history. Counterintelligence. Anyway, paragraph 109, continuing our read. And make sure you highlighted 108. That's very important there. 109, we, rappers, DJs, tell the crowd what to say and how to say it. They wear what we wear. They drink what we drink. They watch what we watch on television and elsewhere. Our audiences repeat what we tell them to. So how are we or any other public figure not to be held accountable for our own self-expression? However, if we are to be held accountable, then let us also seize the power that comes with accountability. If the world's youth are listening to and following hip-hop's culture and arts, then why are we not taken more seriously as the world's leaders, even beyond artistry and entertainment? Sort of like the path of President Ronald Reagan. He started as an entertainer and then became governor and then on to president. If we hip hop have that much influence over the children of the United States, then hip hop needs to be advising the president and governing America's inner cities. You know, like you say, hip hop is hip hop is on TV, bitches, hoes, negative, drug dealing, shootouts, yeah. So if hip hop, and you say that this is influencing the youth, it's influencing them to do this. So if this is the case, if hip hop has that power to influence people, then why are we not the leaders in America? It don't matter whether you influence negative or positively. You are influencing people, and influence is power. That is what power is, influence. Okay, getting people to do stuff. That's power. Okay, so if hip hop could do that, why are we not the president? Kanye West or Puffy or anybody. Why are we not the president then? If we got that much influence. And maybe we will see in the next presidency. Maybe Kanye will run. Maybe one of us will run for the presidency. And we will see how much influence we might have in this country and in the world. It might shock you. It might literally shock you if Kanye West, as an example, becomes president of the United States. Like, okay? Try to see that, because it can happen. Just like I'm talking to you right now. All of a sudden, January 20th or whatever it is roll around, and this dude has his hand on the Bible, and somebody saying, I take this vow, he repeating it, and it's like, boom, Kanye is the president, and that's it. And if they're still together, Kim Kardashian is then the first lady. These people then become what you thought was impossible for Trump, what you thought was impossible for Barack Obama. You know, we thought all of this was impossible, and it happened. And hip hop has the ability to say, if you say in hip hop, I'm the president, this thing got the ability to put you in the White House. You better hear what I'm saying. You better hear what I'm saying. So I'm talking about accountability. If we got this power, why are we not in leadership positions? We're deliberately being held down. We're deliberately being ignored and disrespected. Word. Paragraph 111. I'm reading the top part again. If we, hip-hop, have that much influence over the children of the United States, then hip-hop needs to be advising the president and governing America's inner cities. If most of the students in the United States are influenced by hip-hop's arts and culture, why then is hip-hop not taught in every public school in the United States? If we have the power and if we have the power that the critics claim we have, then respect us for who we are and for what we have accomplished. Hip-hop is a new American institution, and Americans would do well to embrace us. Americans need to know that the real hip-hop community has never been free to present itself to the world on its own terms. Hip-hop has never spoke to the world on its own terms. It's always being interpreted by some corporate interests. We've always had an interpreter, and our early interpreters only sought to exploit our resources at a time when we were simply too young to defend ourselves or even know what was going on. The truth is that America's supposed addiction to pornography, and violence gives radio and television stations the excuse to put my music aside so that they may play what the people request. And of course, what the people request is what the radio and television stations have been paid to program all week. But this is just obvious. Everyone knows this already. Everyone knows why the radio sounds like it does. They're being paid to sound like they do. The government knows it, they know it, we know it, but still we engage in these bullshit arguments over rap lyrics when KRS-ONE and others struggle to get their music played on a regular basis on any radio station. In my time, white girls seemed to go wild lifting up their t-shirts and blouses to expose their breasts for the cameras of sexually explicit infomercials and video and music videos. Does hip-hop cause young girls to act like this, or are rap music and rappers brought into the production of the infomercials because rap music is considered cool and or attractive to youth? Why blame hip-hop for what people are already doing with their own free will? And let me stop here for a minute because I may be breezing over a point. This part right here where it says, in my time, this was back in the 90s, okay? In my time, white girls, and particularly white women, okay, they had a thing called Girls Gone Wild. I don't know if y'all remember this, but it was called Girls Gone Wild. And it was an infomercial that was selling sexually explicit videotapes of girls bearing their breasts. And this was on television. This was one of the earliest infomercials. And it was cool. It was cool. The only reason it was taken off the air was because the owners of Girls Gone Wild started wilding themselves, and the business collapsed, and so they went, they disappeared. But no, women were bearing their breasts live on the TV after 11 o'clock with Girls Gone Wild, and you was able to buy the tapes. Some people even still got the tapes. Okay, don't front. You know what it is. But I'm saying for those that are too young to understand what I'm saying, there used to be an infomercial that came on late night TV, and it was called Girls Gone Wild. And white women in particular were bearing their breasts, and this was a major thing. It was like soft porn in a way. So I just put that disclaimer so that you know what I'm talking about here. And you want to say hip hop is to blame for that too, right? Okay, why blame hip hop for what people are doing of their own free will? The issue is that America's foundation, its moral authority, and Christian social structure are losing ground. This was in the 90s. We were preaching and talking this in the 90s, okay? It may even be transforming and growing, okay? It's just because when things collapse, other things raise. Just as Christianity evolved out of Judaism and paganism, hip-hop has evolved out of Christianity and Islam. We are the new lights of the world. In any event, rappers represent the new popular heroes. We have the global trust of the people. We, hip-hop, are the gun-slinging, rootin'-tootin' cowboys of this day and age. And if we, hip-hop, are trusted and respected by the public through the inspiration of our arts, we owe it to those who empower us with their love, trust, and respect to assume the responsibilities of leaders in the solving of the world's social ills. We are not the problem. We are not the problem. Hip-hop and its view of the world are actually the solution. We can see right through the assumptions of our critics who claim that it is hip-hop that incites and glorifies violence. Yes, we are extreme in our art. Our art reflects the violent and unjust conditions which we live. And yes, we enjoy gun battles, either as entertainment or as self-defense. And yes, our lyrics and graphic art can glorify the power and use of guns, but where the graphic images and forbidden language, where are graphic images and forbidden language to be expressed, if not within the confines of art and or science? Our view is that it is not the gun that is dangerous or irresponsible. It is the person holding the gun that can become dangerous or irresponsible. Let's go ahead and outline that, because that's a famous statement. I said that many times, and it's actually in other books as well, quoted with this. You might as well just go ahead and grab that, because this is also, and again, let me also say, this doesn't have to be your stance on guns either. You could be totally against guns and violence in that sense, and totally be critical of hip hop and its lyrics in that sense. You can maintain your sense of morality in this sense. This is simply an explanation. This is an argument. I'm putting an argument in your mouth to defend the culture. But you know there's some whack MCs out there. You know there's DJs that are totally irresponsible in what they're playing, who they're playing it for, the times in which they're playing this music, and you have to be critical of that. But I want to put this emphasis on 119, the last sentence of 119. That's all we're highlighting, the last sentence of 119. Here it is. Our view is that it is not the gun that is dangerous or irresponsible. It is the person holding the gun that can become dangerous or irresponsible. That's a basic argument. It's just basic. But for some reason, our critics do not hear nor respond to any of this. They know what is real. They know the statistics just as we do, but still, hip-hop is blamed for what is already occurring in the world and in our individual communities. The truth is the truth is so obvious and so accessible to anyone who wants to know that some of us even wear such statistics as designer fashion statements, as the clothing company Siphon. Remember them? Siphon? Siphon has pointed out on the back of one of their popular hoodies, worn by many hip hoppers in my time in the 90s. People were wearing these hoodies. And this is what it said, quote, "Every minute someone is killed by a firearm." Every minute. Just stop right here. Let a minute go by. Somebody just died of a firearm. Somebody just got shot. The graphics on the upper back of the, it says, "Every minute someone is killed by a firearm," end quote. The graphics on the upper back of the pullover hoodie continue, quote, "Each year an estimated 500,000 people will die worldwide from small arms. About 300,000 people in wars, coups d'etats, and other armed conflicts, and another 200,000 people in homicides, suicides, unintentional shootings, and shootings by police. In that same minute in which someone dies from armed violence, 15 new arms are manufactured for sale." So 15 guns are manufactured every minute, and every minute one person is killed by gunfire. There are nearly 640 million small arms in the world today. That's one for every 10 people. The total value of the combined arms sales by the top 100 arms producing companies in the world is about $236 billion per year, only on guns. Small handguns, okay? This total is roughly equal to the combined national output of the 60 lowest income countries in the world. Of the 100 arms manufacturers, 38 are based in the United States. Do the math. The only group who wins arms struggles are the arms manufacturers, end quote. This and other similar clothing statements what many hip hoppers wear in my time. And this is what is common knowledge in our community, even as our critics blame us for the violence we were born into. We must evolve past this level of immaturity. We hip hoppers must evolve past this level of immaturity. It is now obvious that we must mature past our own self-destruction and assist the world toward peace and goodwill toward all. As a specialized social group, we must become self-directed. In fact, our immaturity, the incapacity to use our own intelligence without the guidance of others, will be the only thing capable of holding us back. Again, in fact, our immaturity, which is the incapacity to use our own intelligence without the guidance of others, will be the only thing capable of holding us back. And let me grab that last paragraph too. We're at paragraph 126, and we are at the last sentence of 126. Go ahead and highlight that as well. It is, in fact, our immaturity, the incapacity to use our own intelligence without the guidance of others, will be the only thing capable of holding us back. Our very survival depends upon our continued maturity. Sisters, brothers, mothers, and fathers, let us begin today writing a new history in the world. Let us tell a new story about ourselves to the world. Our activity today is the origin of hip-hop's history and heritage tomorrow. Be conscious of this always. These are the Refinitions for the temple of hip-hop's committed membership. However, it must be emphasized that hip-hop is a continuously growing culture, so your comprehension of this overstanding is bound to grow as well. Such terms and codes are designed to organize and raise the self-worth of those who love hip-hop and may teach hip-hop for a living. There it is. And what I want to do is highlight the last part of this as well. The last sentence of this last paragraph, the last sentence of 128, which basically says, such terms and codes are designed to organize and raise the self-worth of those who love hip-hop and may teach hip-hop for a living. That's the basis of what the Refinitions is all about. That's if you have to just explain it in a nutshell to somebody and say, well, what is it really all about? I ain't got time to read everything. What is it really all about? As a scholar, you could just turn to them and say, well, the Refinitions is designed to organize and raise the self-worth of those that love or teach hip-hop. So if you read this and articulate hip-hop from this point of, not only are you raising your self-worth, in that sense, but you're also protecting the culture. You're also, because you're unified with other scholars on this, being taught by the same teacher, we are forming the true hip hop culture right here. Others could talk about it with all due respect. A lot of people say culture today, but they wasn't saying that 25 years ago. They wasn't saying that 33, 35, 40 years ago. They wasn't even saying it 10 years ago. We were saying it the whole time. And I'm not saying this in no bragging sense. I'm saying it to lift our temple up at the end of this reading. Right to brag on our temple and what we did, okay? This is not some ego. This is basically the flag. Raise your flag. Don't make stuff up and act like you something you not. But if you did something and you were part of something before everybody else, don't be quiet about it either. Even now, as this is being recorded, in 2021, imagine 2031, when we look back on this and we say, wow, look at the work, look at the little bit of work we were doing back in 2021. And we may even be speaking the same way in 2031 because these lessons take just to learn, generations to learn. So hopefully in 2031, we'll have better production. And maybe the internet will be something different. This whole thing may be a hologram. I may be appearing in your house in 2031 to explain what it is I'm explaining. You don't know. Technology is what it is. So I say all this to say that at the end of our reading, that's why the Refinitions is what we just completed. The Refinitions, and congratulations, you just completed an actual study of hip hop's culture. From the culture, from hip hop's cultural architect itself, himself. You actually have learned that. Congratulations. And remember what the Refinitions is really all about. It's about raising your self-worth. And it's about the unity of our culture, because we all speak of our culture in this way. So this concludes our reading for this week. And next week, we go into the real stuff. Now we get really deep now, because next week, we do the divine performance. And each one of these is probably a whole lesson to discuss. And maybe we will do it that way. Maybe we will do it that way. But the divine performance is actually now when you enter the temple of hip hop, where you now are cleansed. You have your mind right. Get your mind right. You got your mind right. Now you're ready to enter the temple. You understand what we're doing. You should understand what we're doing. You should understand what the intent is here. You should understand where I'm coming from, where Son One is coming from, where G. Simone's coming from, where Minister Zenaru's coming from, where Minister Pascal is coming from, and even if you'd like to join our ministry team as well, where you're coming from. And this is the point. Go through this year with us so that you can become a hip-hop cultural specialist for real, so that you can become an authentic, authorized hip-hop teacher yourself. You could start temples in your own neighborhood. We would urge you to do this and support you on that. Start temples in your own neighborhood and build up hip-hop as culture. Protect our culture from this corporate madness that everybody's going through, really. Corporations just be raping cultures, okay? We're no different, okay? We're no different. So here we are, and we have to defend ourselves. We're a young culture. We only been alive 50 years, okay? We extremely young. But these are the times where you get to put the ingredients in. Yeah, it's going to be like this. We're going to say this. We're going to do this because it's only 50 years. And so imagine 150 years from now. What we are doing today is going to be the foundation of what's going on there. And so we got to get this right here. We got to get this right now. So the people that we don't even know in 100 years, they're going to be able to say, yes, our ancestors deserve respect because here's what they did for us before they even knew us. They showed us their love and didn't even know about our existence. We have to love them too. We have to show, we're living on their legacy. We're sitting on their legacy. What they did to preserve this legacy is how we're eating and surviving and have respect in the world today. That's what 100 years from now is going to be saying, or we would like them to say 100 years from now. Not the opposite. 100 years from now, we still going through the same things that our children 100 years from now, okay? Our children are still getting shot by police, no jobs, poor education, poor health care, no way out of a system. Same thing, 100 years. Well, guess what? That's what's happening today. Black people in particular, really no people, but I'll just say black people because I'm black. So, but really, no one has progressed in 100 years. And listen to what I'm saying, okay? 100 years ago, okay? I guess it was 1921, right? Something like that, 1921. 100 years ago, black people were getting shot in the back. No jobs. Everybody bugging. Same corruption, same racist presidents, senates, Congress people ripping us off, selling us out. Black people selling black people out. Okay? All of that was 1921. All of that was 1821. Same situation. Ask any elder today, has anything really changed from when you were young? Most elders be like, no, actually it's worse. You ask the elder, they'll say it really got worse. Because back then we had this, and this, and y'all don't have that. But you got this, and this, and this don't provide that. But if you don't know Sirius B is over your head. You just sit there and say, oh, well, I'm just gonna goo goo gaga. Bah, 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 bah. I'm just gonna gum, 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 gum. That's what I'm gonna do with my mouth. I'm just gonna gum, 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 gum. And you don't know you're spitting live energy. You don't know you're spitting out your future. You don't know that this was going on while Sirius B goes over your head. Okay, while the new moon is tonight. We just talking. I hate that. I don't like him. I don't care. I'm only human. Nobody's perfect. While Sirius B goes over your head on the night of the new moon. Imagine that. Imagine that. And just to be accurate with it as well, the new moon is all day. It actually was this morning. What was it? 9:50 a.m. this morning. Simone's
for 3 days.
Say again.
It's open. The porthole is open for 3 days after.
The porthole. Okay, the
The
new moon porthole
right,
is open for 3 days after today. Okay, so the prophetess just laid this on us right now, where on the moon side today is a special day, 3 days from today, and the new moon started 9:55 this morning. You didn't even see the moon in the morning, but 9:55 this morning, priestesses and prophetesses. 9:50. Sorry, 9:50. Let me be accurate. 9:50. Prophetess and priestesses are out there doing their prayers and meditations and doing what they do, because the new moon just rose today, and the porthole is open for 3 days, starting right now. This is what we mean by knowledge reigning supreme. If you don't know something, you just don't know, and you don't know. So again, I thank you for this reading today. I thank you for this reading today, for being with us today, because again, you could have been anywhere. This is, you could be anywhere, okay? But you chose to be here. You chose to give your time to this. You choose every week to give your time to this, and that means you deserve to be part of this. And so make sure you have your attendance checked in. Check in, make sure we know that you were here, and we have a record of you being here, because at the end of this is where we rise from this study forward. So that's it. I'm out. KRS-ONE, I am KRS-ONE. That is knowledge reigning supreme over nearly everyone. I am the first teacher and founder of the Temple of Hip Hop, and this is the Temple of Hip Hop and Society. And I see I have 2 screens here, but for some reason, Sun 1 is not coming up on the screen. So
I'm here.
I should just turn you guys off. Oh, here you go. You were struggling for a minute.
Yeah, no, I think it's the internet on your side.
Okay.
Yeah, because
am I good now?
Yes, it's here and there.
It's shaky.
Yeah,
right,
it's shaky.
You know what? Because I gotta run use the rest. It's shaky. Look, I made it through.
Yes.
So let me run the rest of the video tomorrow. By the way, you guys, let me just say, if you can hear me in this crunchy little mess up thing, if you can hear me, I'm in the studio. I'm making the crazy. I'm gonna go right now under the Sirius B and the new moon. I go in the studio tomorrow for another week of studio time. I say, if you want to be part of this project, send your stuff to mckrsone@gmail. That's mckrsone@gmail. Send me beats that have no samples on them, only because I'm not clearing anything on this album. So make sure you have no samples on there. And also, I'm accepting lyrics as well. I don't do collaborations. You know me. I spit my album, and that's what it is. But for the sake of the Temple of Hip Hop, and for the sake of you being on this call, you're privy. You have an opportunity to send your stuff in to mckrsone at Gmail, and I'll look at it and see what we could do. Of course, everything's not being used, and this, that, and the other. But at least you know that the teacher has heard your music, and at another level, I may even actually comment, because a lot of you out there are really good, got talent, you dope, you doing your thing. Shout out to Benny. I don't know, Benny, if you're listening, but some of the tracks you gave me as well, they were raw. That was nice, and without samples this time as well. That was nice. I appreciate that. The brother from Africa, I forgot which country it was, You sent me some music, and it had samples though. Or can you tell me if those were samples or not, brother from Africa? I need you to send me that track. Send me those tracks back as well. I can't find them in my computer now. I remember when you first gave them to me, I was on flash drive. You know how these flash drives get. Send me the tracks now. So I'm just saying this to say that I'm in the studio right now. I'm not online saying it and telling everybody I'm in the studio. It's just for our call right here. I'm in the studio. I'm working on some craziness. It's actually called Save the Studio. It's a movie we're working on right now, and I'm doing the soundtrack to this movie called Save the Studio. It's a short film. It's actually just a short film. It's nothing, no Netflix and all of that. This is just a short film about a producer trying to save his studio. And in the studio, you get about 7 or 8 new KRS-ONE songs, among others. So if you want to be part of that project, send your stuff to mckrsone@gmail. Oh, there, go right there. You can just send it right there, and that's it. So look, I'm out. I know I'm crunching.
I still need to see that before tomorrow.
It was sent to you. Time sent it. Nothing.
I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie, but I don't believe so.
You didn't get an email on it?
I don't believe so.
Because she sent it out last night. She sent out dailies last night. All right, well, let me go deal with that real quick, because you got to see it before tomorrow.
Right.
So, it is what it is.
Okay.
But thank you again. On the call, Son One, thank you, and to all the ministers. G. Simone, thank you as well for that, for all of your support as well. I'm running. Peace.
Peace. Okay, everybody. I just wanted to go over a couple things real quick. I think it should be noted and not to be really breezed over the whole or the own thing on page 130 with Brother Ludacris addressing Oprah Winfrey, and then that own sitting there. Let's keep it real. You can't make that up. The book was publicly published in 2009. The OWN network, I want to say began, I think according to the internet, on January 1st, 2011. I'm going to call this a MINISTA moment. We can't skip over things like this. This is how this gospel really comes to life like that, and itself lines up to teach in present time. It's like that's some crazy magic. if ever there was. But again, that shouldn't be taken lightly, because Ludacris could have been addressing anybody. Teacher could have put any example in the gospel of hip hop. For whatever reason, he chose that one. And then the spirit got in him to capitalize OWN. So now I'm sure, or not totally positive, but I have an inkling that Oprah Winfrey has not read the gospel of hip hop. So what then gets in her to, instead of naming it or really anything, it didn't have to be the Oprah Winfrey Network. She could have named it whatever she wanted. Again, that's there. And normally I could say, oh yeah, no, I might be reaching, but that's a far reach. If that's a reach, like that's in black and white on the page. You can't escape different things like that, and that's not to be even. It's not to be put out for. This is for our own recognition, to know what's going on. This is for us. This is not something for us to say, oh, look, this is what, or to try to prove something to somebody else This is for you to take in internally within your own self and ask yourself, how did that happen? What intelligence is working with hip hop, with our teacher, that's making these things align? Sticking with the alignment, I'd like to refer everybody to today's freestyles, or today and tomorrow, and actually for the rest of the week, because then we're going into the divine performance next week. But August 8th says, whatever you look for also looks for you. So watch what you say, what you think, and what you do. This pertains into a lot, or obviously we were talking about language. We were talking about influence, and the effect that has on yourself and for other people. Watch what you say. What you say will essentially create the paradigm of which you are in. You say, oh, I'm not perfect. You do a lot of unperfect things and be able to point right back to it, kind of in the sense of what I was talking about with the retrograde. You want to subscribe to that and make that a part of your awareness, that your awareness to that will manifest things because you're looking for it. You're looking for things not to be right. Again, that's why I say, or something like that, I would just leave alone, and stay aware of the things that are really going to be beneficial to you. August 9th, every single year about this time, we are born again with a renewing of our minds. As I pointed out, every year, the Lion's Gate portal opens about this time. It was between July 28th and August 12th. And here in our gospel, every single year about this time, we are born again with the renewing of our minds. And that's essentially what they're saying is very possible at this time. And again, with or that's actually supposed to occur on every new moon. You have that opportunity to renew your mind, to set new intentions out into the universe in order to bring things through, or really just keep the for a lot of us, keep the constant flow that's naturally occurring from God. There's always that, but again, or as teacher said, these are certain levels that you end up getting to. I remember teacher said in one of these past courses in these last couple of years that he said that, or it was, when you say something, say, it would be nice if, and then whatever you want to actually happen, or say, or if I said, it would be nice if I had a brand new car. In saying that, the way I've developed it within myself is me saying it would be nice is essentially I'm voicing it, but God, if you, it would be nice. I know that everything that I receive is coming from you. So it would be nice if I got it, but if not, it's all good. That's the way, if anything, I make my request. And also, teacher taught us about the speaking, saying I require many years ago. And I've been using that technique too. But it would be nice for me is like abracadabra. That says that is, and maybe because again, my awareness of it and my belief in it adds to what is actually being said. And as I'm doing it, my intention is in it. And for me, it's working. But so to go just a little bit further along down the line, you'll see that with us leading up to the divine performance, that the next ones really help you get prepared purposely, or starting with that every single year about this time we are born again with the renewing of our minds. That's a big part of the divine performance, the renewing of your mind, paying attention to the divine performances and essentially making them a habit in your life, because again, our divine performance preforms life circumstances. And so always remember that. I'm gonna read real quickly. I'm only probably spend 5 minutes going through this part. Again, I was on page 480 in the Teacher's Overstanding, and beginning at paragraph 73. I'm reading this because a brother sent this in one of the group chats that I'm involved in. I went back a little bit before what he was pointing out, but either way, I felt as though, again, it was sent to me. And, after reading it and checking the nature of it, it's like, no, somebody very likely may need to hear this on Sunday. So I said, I'm gonna say it. Paragraph 73. As long as you are pursuing your purpose, you shall be in harmony with the truth of your nature, which is the universe's purpose for itself. Again, as long as you are pursuing your purpose, you shall be in harmony, with the truth of your nature, which is the universe's purpose for itself. You shall be protected and promoted by the universe itself, because the universe has its own agenda for the actualization of your life's purpose. I should be rereading all this. This is a very powerful paragraph, which really you should read a lot. I would even say this may fall under a form of affirmation. We change the U's to I's and all that good stuff. This would be very powerful for you to say daily. When you truly come to this realization, you will begin to move throughout life in certain exactness. Everything will happen in harmony with your purpose. People, things, and even events will all be in harmony with your daily movements. At this stage in your spiritual development, you are becoming the teacher. Do not regret. Yeah, do not regret anything that's happened in your life. Too, all lessons. Really, I wanted to point out the lowercase teacher. And again, because the uppercase teacher comes in a minute. So even, and the reason why I say that is because in some shape, form, or fashion, you are all teaching right now, or that's what we went over earlier. That there's nobody that's absent or from influence on those around you. And so you're technically always teaching, and everybody's always learning from you, including God, as to how to interact with you, that self. Do not reject the world as evil. It is not. Do not fight against the desires of your flesh. Only seek to understand their causes. Practice being unattached to the cravings of the flesh. Do not allow yourself to be addicted to the world and the desires of the flesh. Commit to the reality of your God, be the teacher. And see, I feel very privileged because I got to be able to keep the teacher in mind in certain things or certain decisions helps me personally. However you do is how you do it. But no, I'm modeling my life, or my role model is our teacher. And that's key for me. Continuing, the one who desires to be a chef will never be one. It is the one who courageously enters the kitchen and starts cooking who proves to be a chef. And in the chef reality, such a person attains chef powers. The same applies to becoming a hip-hop spiritual teacher. When you are the teacher, you are the teacher. There is no fight against the flesh when you take on the character of one who simply does not need the desires of the flesh. The teacher finds pleasure in denying himself pleasure. When you are the teacher, you inherit the teacher's powers and abilities. The temple of hip hop can validate the completion of your study, but only God can validate the truth of your being. Otherwise, to say, you can sit here and page number is, I'm on 481 now. I started at 480. You can sit here and complete the readings, complete the test, get the certification from us. But again, it's your actual being and the things that you do after that essentially really validates yourself as yourself in being I would even say, and then in being a teacher for real. You have, and again, with God really in control, there's no faking it. Well, not unfortunately. I would say unfortunately for those who want to, but no. But none of those people are here right now. Everybody here is sincere and ready to get it in. But again, what it really comes down to is then with that, away from all titles, who are you really? Who are you? And is your purpose the universe's purpose for itself? And are you trying, or if maybe you don't think so, that's the goal to really be wanting to achieve, to do what God wants you to do, and to fulfill that in appreciation for your very existence itself. Because again, if you're really not fulfilling the purpose of God's purpose for you, why do you exist? If not to really be maybe a distraction for somebody else or something, and that's hard to say, or harsh to say, that no, certain people, in a sense, you would say that they're not real, because a real person is dealing with reality, and the only reality is God. Keep it real. Therefore, in the beginning of your spiritual practices, it is wise to practice performing discipline over desires of the flesh and the emotions of the heart. not just for the sake of your own moral character, but to prove your own spiritual strength and maturity to yourself. Prove to yourself that you can be trusted. This is the habit of a teacher. And really, this is where we go into the science of your higher self being already everywhere. Your higher self has always been with you, and within you. So, and this is another level that I'm really talking. It's not at the beginning, but what I'm speaking to is when you know that you're not technically, or you're not bound by time. You're not just here in the present. You're still in the past, and you're far into the future, really infinitized, if I can make up some new words. You're already there, and really judging yourself and blessing yourself and helping yourself and disciplining yourself. When you get at this level, you then realize that no, right, I'm proving to me, and that let's say your future self that is with the eternal hip hop, that self is very obedient to that. That self is in alignment with God already. So it is a lot harsher on you than you are to yourself right now, even though everybody has, or at least us, we have a conscience that does get down on us and depresses us when we don't live up to our own expectations of ourselves. So that's how that works. But imagine, or really your being, or your total being, that is really like, no, rooting for you, like, yo, you can do it. You could do it. It knows all your faults and everything that you need to work on, and knows that you can overcome that. Knows that you have the power and the strength of God to overcome all obstacles, to overcome everything imaginable that you could be going through, that you do have this power and you have this strength. And such is why when you disappoint yourself, you are really disappointing yourself. And so really do your best and use these tools, use the gospel of hip hop, use powerful affirmations, even ritual, or having your altar and going to your altar, and trying to alter your consciousness. Do these things, create these different practices, find out what works for you. A lot of times what works for you will work for other people, in order to get right, and know that really discipline is like, it is so key. It is so key. I'm gonna end at 3:33. So let me try to get through this. Trying to see where I was. Okay. Resisting the temptations of the world and the desires of the flesh is like lifting spiritual weights. Emotional self-control brings peace and endurance. Again, emotional self-control brings peace and endurance. You use your emotions and use temptation to your advantage. Do not allow them to use you toward their advantages. Control your mind, not your life. And really, or that's all you really can control. the reality is the life, and that's God. So you really, it's best to work on your mind so that everything that reality presents itself before you, your mind is already prepared to act accordingly to how you feel as though your best self would, which then brings you peace and endurance for times in the future when it may get lesser or worse or more. Trying to stay on this time. It is the thought that happens first, then comes your emotional response. The same applies to fear. Use the most frightening experiences to exercise courage. Stand up to evil, because in truth, it is all God. This is what hopefully you will come to realize. It is all God. There is no devil, demon, angel, something else besides your soul, which really belongs to God. We are God's. Capital G, lowercase o, lowercase d, and capital G, capital O, capital D, apostrophe S. We are God's. We belong to God. And such is why it's us that must realize what is happening and what God really is and is doing. Which again, I call hip hop. And if you are truly one with God, in harmony with life itself, no illusion of evil can prevail against you. In fact, evil shall work with you. It shall start and stop with your own internal commands. The challenge is to stay true to your purpose. Do not become distracted by better or worse circumstances. Stay within your circle. Perfect yourself through the perfection of your purpose. Master the task that God has given you. Do not compare your work to the works of those who you may admire and or criticize. Focus upon the work that God has given you. I'll conclude with that. Again, I just want to remind everybody what TEACHA said in the beginning. Excuse my do-rag. It's hard to fix this while looking into a computer screen. And my hair is crazy. But as TEACHA said earlier, we're not in competition as far as hip-hop scholars. He said that the mission is not to be in competition, but to synthesize so that essentially we're all on the same page. Peace and much love. I am Minister Sun One.